Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the Full Send Racing Series is prepared for some more racing action. Tonight, we head to the concrete at Dover for race number 3 of the season. We've had some of the best finishes you could ask for, but tonight, the Impact Sim Design 200 should be a blast to watch as drivers amping up. We've had 2 of the best finishes you could be asking for, the coming across the line at the same time at Daytona, then seeing another rookie win last week at Chicagoland. And tonight, who knows who could get it done. We're proud to give you, again, all the action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Trevor Earhart. And Trevor, I gotta say, tonight, a lot of predictions on who could be the top dog to win and get the 3rd win of the season. Could we see a repeat winner?
Yeah, could see a repeat winner. Could see another first-time winner this season. Not necessarily a first-time winner in the league, but our 3rd winner in 3 races here tonight. Dover's gonna be a tricky track though. The monster mile they call it, concrete track. Wears out the tires, high speeds. Cars gonna be slipping and sliding all night long, and that wall is not gonna be your friend here tonight.
Absolutely not, and it's going to be critical to make sure that you get yourself a good qualifying time. That wall's going to be sticking out even during qualifying as practice has just come to a conclusion. It's time to see where the drivers are going to be starting out here tonight, qualifying. They got 5 minutes to put down their fastest time, but these drivers are minimized to only 2 laps, so you have to make sure that you put down your fastest lap as quick as possible. And in these Xfinity cars, it's the 2nd time in the last 4 seasons where they've ran the Xfinity car at this track. And every time, if you get the pole, you also find yourself in a victory lane. Trevor, this is going to be a key factor of the race. Let's get ready to watch some of the racing action as drivers are hitting the track.
Yeah, drivers getting ready to go out and start their first lap. And like you said, qualifying is going to be super important here tonight with how difficult it can be to pass and how, kind of tightly packed you're going to be all night long. But you cannot make a mistake here in qualifying, get into that outside wall, get yourself an incident point. We're going to be seeing drivers pushing it to the limit, get close to that wall at a turn number 4 and at a turn number 2.
Maximizing your speed last week, pole sitter was Will Bustler stealing the show. Cole Sketty got the pole at Daytona, and Cole Sketty, a driver to watch out for. He won the last time that these drivers were here in the Xfinity car back in season 3. Last season, it was Ken Campbell that got the pole. It's John Dart first lap, clicking in. The 5 has the pole. It's Brian McCann going to be 2nd on the board currently. But as these times start to rattle off, I'm expecting lap 2 to be the fastest here, Trevor. But you never know. As the driver we're watching, it's Chris Stevens on his first lap, taking the top of the board.
Yeah, Chris Stevens first lap, top of the board. 2nd lap looking pretty good, but I think like you said, a lot of drivers are going to use that 2nd lap to really put in their fast lap, first lap, kind of just getting the tires warm. And McCann a little bit high there. Or Stevens a little bit high out of 4, but a pretty good 2nd lap for himself. Does not improve, though. Actually loses about 3/10 of a second for himself on that 2nd lap.
John Dart able to find a little bit of extra speed for 5. He'll be 2nd on the board, but here comes some of the faster drivers that we've been expecting to put down some raw speed. The 42 of Cole Sacchetti, fastest driver during practice. Can he be the fastest during qualifying? Pretty stout exit out of turn 2, maximizing the speed in the area on track. This mile in length course is so tough to make sure that you do not hit the wall. And now the exit at turn 4, again, maximizing the area on track. Cross the line, Will Bustler takes the pole, and only 4th place for Cole Sacchetti.
A surprise there from Cole Sacchetti, not getting that good of a lap on his 2nd lap. Only good for 4th. Will Bustler, though, with a possible back-to-back pole awards here for himself as he put in a really good lap time with a 23.393 on his 2nd lap to currently sit provisional pole.
And last driver to get a pole here last season, Ken Campbell, 8th fastest. So we're expecting a brand new driver to get the pole here tonight. Cameron Sarton, though, out of nowhere, lightning strikes for the 24. His 2nd lap bumps the 24 up to 2nd position. Seeing drivers trying to put in their times, getting as fast as they can as Philip Chavez brushes the wall, but already done with his times, was 22nd after his 2 laps being finished up. Travis Dart, though, 26 machine, crossed the line, final lap. Where will the 26 be? 28 on that first lap, but bumps up to 13th. A good run there late for himself. Another quick driver to watch out for, Zach Hall, 12th fastest currently. So the driver's going to be sticking in the middle of the pack. Got to be careful on how they get through the field as some drivers testing out the limits. Going to be the 99 of Brandon Colley in the Barbie machine. Stuck in 27th, brushes the wall in that last lap, so it's not going to count. I'll start in the back half of the field as Rob Sherwood And if you remember last week in qualifying, missed out on putting a lap down after be qualifying too late, was literally 100 feet from getting his time counted, and he's hoping that he's going to have enough time for both laps as he's on lap number 1.
Yeah, Sherwood this time plenty of time to get in his 2 laps here, with it only being about a 23-second a lap time around here. He's got a minute to get in these 2 laps. We'll have to see if Sherwood can challenge Will Bustler for that pole position here tonight. If he's got anything, as he completed his first lap of the 23.685, that's going to put Sherwood somewhere down there in about 23rd position on his first lap. So going to have to pick up here about 2 or 3 tenths, Sam, to have a shot, but he gets into the wall, and that's going to be it for Rob Sherwood.
Also into the wall going to be Cedric Hunter, but Cedric Hunter's on his first lap. Rob Sherwood is locking it down. Same for the 7. They are done and dusted. The last driver out there who could possibly put down a time, it's the 3 machine. Ryan Lynch, last lap, coming across the line, hoping to bounce up from 30th position, and it looks to be good enough just for 23rd. Another driver who steals a spot late is Jacob Grant, up to 7th place for the 19. So late pushes for some of these drivers, and others not able to get a time in. Doug Pierce and Christopher Melton going to be starting in the back half of the field with not putting a time in, and Cedric Hunter, first lap will not count for the 7. He'll also be another driver with not a time counted, as that's going to be 35 drivers expected here tonight. Qualifying is done. It's time for the racing action here at Dover. The Impact Sim Design 200 is about to get underway as they are getting gridded up. Tonight's race, 200 laps, stage break at the end of lap 60. No fast repairs and sets of tires in pit road. That's going to be the more important thing to talk about throughout the 90s, the tires. But as everyone's getting gridded up in pit road, let's take a look at our qualifying results here this evening. Will Bustler, 2 weeks in a row, taking the top of the board from the pole. The 1 gets the 1 position. The 2-time champ going to be right beside him in the 24. That's Cameron Sarton, with Chris Stevens in 3rd, John Dart 4th, Cole Sketty 5th, Ross Tatum, last time we were here, winner for the 21, going to be starting in 6th position. Jake Grant 7th, Chris Stitz 8th, 9th goes to Nick Holland, and Ken Campbell pushing out your top 10.
Andrew Medlin will start in 11th with Jonathan Woods in 12th, with Zach Hall, last season's champion, 13th, with Travis Dart in 14th. Tony Brent, the Daytona winner, is going to be down there in 15th position with Alex Jones in 16th. Tyler Thomas will start in 17th with Christopher Norris in 18th. David McConnell in 19th, and Trey Jackson will be in the 20th position.
21st spot's going to be Joshua Altis with Jake Becker in 22nd, Ryan Lynch in 23rd, Brian McCann, last week's winner, very poor qualifying run for the 8. He'll be starting deep in the field in 24th position. 25th position is Robert Sherwood with Jonathan Burt in 26th, Philip Chavez 27th, 28th goes to Peter Dillon in 29th is Brian L. Wilson. Brandon Colley finishing out our top 30.
Curtis Malechka will be in 31st, with William Duff in 32nd. And that of Cedric Hunter will be in 33rd, Chris Melton in 34th, and Doug Pierce will round out our 35 drivers here tonight.
A lot of drivers out there on a very tight, claustrophobic track at times. Everyone's going to have to keep their head on a swivel. Reaction times are going to be key, especially with the outside wall always sneaking up on these drivers. But they got to be careful. 60 laps going to be our first stage. Top 10 drivers get bonus points if you're to finish out in those top 10 spots. In first place at stage, we get 10 bonus points, 9 for second, 8 points for third, and it continues to dwindle down until you get to 10th place, so they get just 1 bonus point. The base car is off. It's time for the Impact Sim Design 200 to get underway. You're watching the Full Send Racing Series Season 5, race number 3 on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We're into the green flag zone as it's Will Bustler, Cameron Sarton revving it up. The 24th, the better launch as we roar into turn number 1.
Bustler didn't get a great launch, almost got into the side there of the 24 of Sarton. Almost a little bit of contact, but it's going to be the 14 of Chris Stevens. It's also going to try to take advantage of that. It's going to be Stevens, Sarton side by side into turn number 3, and Bustler with a terrible start for himself. He's going to dive it into turn number 3 and try to catch back up as Stevens goes to the lead.
Chris Stevens qualifies third, but he's going to have a quick enough launch to lead lap number 1 for the 14 machine. Chris Stevens has had some decent qualifying times the last couple of laps, and last couple of races, and now with lap 1 down, the 14's looking pretty solid as the rest of the field side by side going to be for 6th on and back. That's Jacob Brandt, Chris Stitz, John Dart, all on top of one another, able to single file out. With the rest of the field, there's a couple still side by side. They got to be careful here on the exit of 4.
You got to be careful there. It tightens up for you. It's going to be Campbell, Zach Hall doing battle with one another. Then you got the two of Jonathan Woods, Alex Jones, Travis Dart, all kind of on top of one another. Going to be there for about 11th on back. It's kind of stacked up, looking to get it single fouled out as it looks like 45 of Alex Jones with a little bit of a bad run as he's going to battle here with the 26 Travis Dart.
And see the 32, Zach Hall thought he was going to win last week, had a malfunction kind of an issue entering the pit road and blocked himself out where he was able to lose momentum, not able to get enough time to catch up and beat out Brian McCann. McCann, though, with the win, being our second rookie this season to get into victory lane, expecting big things as they're seeing side-by-side action. Jonathan Woods, Travis Dart, all on top of one another. This is the battle for 12th position currently.
Yeah, they've been going at it here for the last couple of laps, those two side by side. Alex Jones was in that battle for a little bit, got a little loose off the 2, had to back out of it. But still seeing that 2, that 26 side by side. And I think if you're Travis Dart here, you're using up a little bit more tire than you'd like to be using that outside line to try to carry that momentum. But he's finally going to be able to clear the 2 of Jonathan Woods there and fall in line behind the 32 of Zach Hall.
Falls in line, and a driver that's side by side on the outside groove. Jacob Grant looking for one of his best starts so far. He qualified 11th at Daytona, then 20th last week at Chicagoland, finished 30th last week, was hoping for his first top 10 finish, currently in 10th place. Not bad for the 19 who qualified 7th here tonight.
No, not bad at all. He had speed last week in that 19 machine, then got caught up in a couple of incidents late that kind of took him out of a chance at a good run there for himself. And looking back through the field, we got the 38 here, Christopher Norris, who's trying to follow in line. He's watching the battle in front of him between Woods and that of Alex Jones as he makes his return to the Full Send Racing Series here tonight.
Yeah, Christopher Norris coming back from vacation, missing last week. A couple of other drivers that have missed out. This is one of our bigger fields that we've had so far. As we want to report on the fact that we will be missing Christopher Melton, who was not able to start today's race, and as well expect the 7 as Cedric Hunter, expecting him to be a start park here tonight. He is not going to be going full time for at least a couple of more weeks. As one driver does hit pit road, it's Doug Pearson, the 39, starting on pit road and finally was able to roll off now.
Yeah, I think Pierce had some internet issues, finally able to connect and get rolling here. Ross Tatum in that 21 machine looking at him. He's got a little bit of a gap behind in front of him to the 7 of Cedric Hunter, and kind of a weird start for Ross. Sam down 24 positions from where he started all the way down here in 30th position.
There ain't a reason why penalized last week after Chicagoland. There was a lot of talking over the radio, and admins decided to give an EOL to the 21 after verbal conflicts that were going on between the 21 and another driver who was warned to stop, didn't. He has to deal with penalty back in 30th position. Is last season's winner at this track. And the 99, see on screen, that's the Barbie machine. Brandon Colley, he lost the bet where he had to run a Barbie scheme. It was a team effort from Category 5 Esports when they were running the 24 Hours of Spa a couple of weeks ago. And because of the fact that Brandon Colley actually gained the most incident points at the highest average incident points per lap, the 99 machine was forced to run a Barbie scheme. But as that scheme looks great, other battles that are looking great up front, Will Bustler taking the lead over the 14.
And Bustler back to the front and looking good up there. I mean, the trends say pole sitter. If you get the pole, lead the most laps, you're going to win this. And Bustler got the pole. Now we're going to try to see if he can lead the most laps and get that win. But got around Stevens. Cameron Sarton's kind of falling back here a little bit. Cole Sacchetti, though, is starting to close in on that 24 machine. And he's bringing in tow John Dart, who I got to say qualified 4th and doing a great job early on up in the top 5.
John Dart's looking good. Another fast driver to watch out for. Nick Holland last season, he actually led the most laps, 120 laps of the 200. 13 could be another driver to watch out quick here this evening as John Dart ran a whole 5. Give you a sense of what it's like to run here at Dover as these drivers riding a roller coaster that's in their own hands of control. Trevor, I gotta say, this is certainly an interesting run as the 5 looking a little bit aggressive there on the entry.
Yeah, look at him. Got in a little deep, kind of took it a little bit higher line there for himself through 4. It's such a fun track to drive. You can see the bumps and the change in kind of elevation on corner entry. You can really see it here out of turn number 2 as you come out of the corner, up over the little bit of a hill right there. Got to be careful not to upset the car, get into that outside wall, and then kind of down a hill into 3 and 4. That we saw there with John Dart. That's a lap around here. Really quick lap, but very kind of technical and bumpy to get around here quickly.
trying to survive every lap that you can as the 5 holding off Nick Holland, but Holland's having a little bit of trouble behind him because he's got Chris Stitz and Andrew Medlin behind. Stitz looking to try to get into victory lane. Well, if anything, just to have a solid finish for the 17. Been caught up in a lot of wrecks in multiple different leagues that he's been running this season. And the 17's trying to put battle on Nick Holland, and as well, Andrew Medlin behind these guys. The 12, another fast driver. Medlin won back in season 2, but that was when they were in the trucks.
And Medlin almost kind of looked like he was going to go to the outside there on Chris Stitz. I think Stitz is a little bit faster than Nick Holland, but maybe just getting held up here behind that 13 machine. Hasn't found a way past him, though. You can kind of see the trying to take a different line. Medlin trying to do the same thing as they kind of enter in low, arc, or take it to the middle of the racetrack and then exit low, try to get a good run off, but still just kind of stuck in a train here behind the 13.
Ken Campbell, what you got? Biggest thing that this 15 took from last season was getting the pole. Was one of the favorites to actually win here, but was caught up with some shenanigans between himself and his teammate of Andrew Medlin. That was around the time that Andrew Medlin and Ken Campbell were trying to help the 12 get into victory lane to make sure he made it into the playoffs. Kind of backfired for themselves. Right now, Ken Campbell, 9th place, not a bad start. He's up 1 spot from where he qualified.
Yeah, I mean, start. I think that's all you can kind of ask for right now. Early in the race, get a couple of positions and then try to save the tires and see what you got. Is back here a battle with Ryan Lynch in the 3, the 6 there going to battle with one another through 3 and 4. You got the 22 Jonathan Woods, Jonathan Burt. There you got Rob Sherwood in the 22, Jonathan Burt in the 6, going to battle with one another. Brandon Cawley there in the 99 out of 4. Oh, somebody in the wall up in front of him, though.
A little bit of a scare, and oh no, contact, major collisions, and it just piles in. No one able to slow down, and a massive wreck after what looked like just a simple tap into the wall, and that shows Dover, the Monster Mile, certainly just showed its fangs.
Showed its fangs, it did, and a self-cleaning track. You saw the cars go high and then bounce back down low because of the banking. The 55 involved. I'm pretty sure I saw the 7 in there. Cedric Hunter, the 99 of Brandon Cawley involved, and that's a pretty big wreck there. Sam with the 55 of Trey Jackson involved. He's still filling in this week, but big wreck in 1 and 2.
Yeah, and the driver that initially hit the wall was Jay Beckert in the 10. And just Trey Jackson, nowhere to go for himself, and the rest of the field just a sitting duck to the madness that really you're entering the corner. You're already on the brake for some, and no one had any time to slow down as we're getting the replay up for you. Thank you so much for joining with us. But this is what brings out the first caution and probably one of the bigger wrecks we're expecting to see here tonight.
Yeah, you see Becker gets a little bit tight, trying to pick up the throttle too soon out of 4, gets into the wall. And Trey Jackson does a really good job getting clear to his inside. Going to be the 11 there. That kind of Tyler Thomas that shoots the gap, and Becker trying to still control that car, gets into the 11 who gets through, but then just clips Trey Jackson. Nowhere to go for him, shoots him up into the wall. And that's what really kicks off this race. You see a lot Ryan Lynch involved, Sherwood nowhere to go. Paulie's there and others involved, just nowhere to go as the track is instantly blocked.
Yeah, and some of these wrecks, I mean, the vehicles are just bouncing off the wall and it shoots them right back across the track and nowhere to go. Ross Tatum just not able to slow down in time, and violent wreck for a lot of these drivers. And we're going to get a sense of one of these drivers that were involved with this. Brandon Cawley, really an innocent victim as he's just riding on board. This is from a higher view, so we can actually see a little bit better from the shot, but he just has no time to react. There's just instantly stopped right in front of the field.
Yeah, just no time for him to react. I mean, he was still full throttle going to the corner and all that chaos happening in front of him. Just no time for him to check up. No time for anybody, I think, really, in that wreck to check up. And you see all the damage on board that 99 machine. That's going to be a long night for the rest of him, or for himself and others involved.
Well, 4 drivers given required damage for themselves, and Cedric Hunter might be already calling it a night as he has pulled it off. Also, Ryan Lynch, Jay Beckert, and Rob Sherwood require damage on top of that. Rob Sherwood looked to be almost calling it a night here this evening after he was immediately involved with it. Ryan Lynch, Jay Beckert hoping to get repairs done and get back out there on track. Some drivers, though, taking this opportunity. We're only 22 laps into this race, as if you're just joining us now, it's perfect time. We still got plenty of racing action to give you as we are still in stage 1. Stage 1 finishes off at the end of lap 60, and some of the front runners deciding to take a chance on tires. They had 4 extra sets of pit road and taking that chance. John Dart in the 5, Cole Sacchetti in the 42, Travis Dart David McConnell going to be taking the chance of 4 tires and fuel and getting to see if this is going to be a good call. As they're going to be starting back 20th, 21st, and 22nd position.
Yeah, obviously the 4 tires here always going to be important to have. Um, I'm going to be interested to see how quickly they work their way through the field, but they've got a lot of cars to go through. Typically, we talk about that. Last season you have a max of 20 cars or so. This season, 34 cars. So they got a little bit more work to do for themselves. But we'll have to see how quickly they can get through the field and what the speed advantage is going to be on those 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, this is the key thing I'm more curious about. What is the speed difference when you have a 21 lap advantage on your tires compared to the rest of the field? Other drivers that came into pit road, David McConnell going to be the first of those. Excuse me, Ross Tatum's the first of those that came in with damage repairs. We're caught up in that wreck, so that's 24th all the way down to 34th position. Drivers that are getting repairs done and trying to get back out there on track. As the field is stacked up, getting the one to go marker of our pace guard turning off the lights. It's going to be Will Bustler, Chris Stevens, Cameron Sarton, Nick Holland, and Chris Stitz, your top 5. Andrew Medlin in 6th. 7th goes Ken Campbell, Jacob Grant, Zach Hall, and Jonathan Woods. Finish out your top 10 drivers. 20 laps in the book before our first wreck comes out. And will we see a quick caution happen here with drivers on different sets of tires? The speed difference is going to be great. And it's time to see how these drivers can handle the rest of stage 1. Again, at the end of lap 60, the yellow will be thrown. Top 10 drivers get bonus points as you're watching the Full Send Racing Series, race number 3 of the season for the Impact Sim Design 200 at Dover. Pace car's about to pull off, giving this indication that it's in the hands of Will Bustler in the one machine on the inside. Chris Stevens on the outside has to wait to get into the restart zone. And it's time for the drivers to roar once again. Here we go. The 1 gets a great launch. The 14, a little bit of a shimmy as they roar down into turn number 1.
Bustler with a much better restart this time around, covers off the 14. Steven's going to go high, see if he can get a run, but it's going to open the door from the 24, Cameron Sarton. That's going to be the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Sarton's going to get that cleared out of 2 and come up in the front, cover off the 14, so move Sarton up to 2nd. Everybody single filed out, so we get back to Zach Hall, who's side by side with the 19 of Jacob Grant, Christopher Norris. That's going to be 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's all going to be side by side, our first side by side battle out of 4.
Good push for one of these straight runners. They want to get single file as quick as possible. They stay side by side and losing ground. But those with fresher tires behind them. Immediately on the launch, fresh tires. Cole Sketty was able to already balance 3 positions. He's up to 17th at this time. But it's going to be a long, consistent, slow push, making this pass each and every lap. As Cameron Sarton's able to get by Chris Stevens. It's now a waiting game. Who is going to attack up front, or do you continue to protect these tires? For our front 3, they really pulled out to a big advantage over the rest of the field before that caution flag came out. So now we have to watch what are their tire states looking like. Can Nick Holland take an advantage here?
It's gonna be interesting to see the tire difference between the guys that have stayed out, what their tire difference is between one another, who was able to save in that first 20 laps, who kind of used their stuff up a little bit, and then also how quickly is it going to be for Cole Sacchetti and those guys to get up through the field. And right now, I gotta say, Sam, Will Bustler in that clean air, looking really quick in that one machine over the 24 Cameron Sarton and the 14 of Chris Stevens.
Yeah, looking quick. The fastest car on track is Cole Sacchetti in the 42, making the pass over Tony Brent, our winner from Daytona, and now setting up the pass for 12 over Jacob Grant, and trying to make the moves as fast as possible. Looking good, but a driver behind having issues. It's the Ford machine of David McConnell spinning around on the front stretch.
Spinning around for himself. Doesn't look like anybody hit him or got collected with him, so just a little spin. Looks like he might have gotten into the inside wall, outside wall, or one of the 2 walls, but looks like a single car incident there, Sam.
Single car, which most of the field lucky that it was a single vehicle. Here we go. Seeing the driver get down low, almost touching the apron, and just it snaps loose on him right on the exit on that lip.
Right, yeah, right on the exit, and that's hard contact to the inside wall for himself. Nice little pirouette down the front straightaway, but thankfully nobody else involved in that, which is rare for a wreck, you're saying, just to have a solo car involved, and here's the onboard camo.
You see that little bit of when it's starting to march up on the hill, gassed it up maybe a little bit too soon, and the Ford machine sees the rear end just kick out immediately for himself. Heavy damage, but one of those things where he's automatically going to be stuck with required damage, and now he's going to have to settle in for getting into this next round.
Yeah, just gotta come down pit road, get that car fixed. Uh, oh, here on the replay, it looks like maybe a little bit of contact with the 5. there of John Dart, maybe, Sam, looking from that replay
I
camera?
mean, John Dart, one of the drivers that had 4 fresh tires, makes sense if he ran over the 4 and spun him around. That's why it looks so quick when he got himself in that little bit of a tap.
I mean, that would make sense as to why that car just kind of took off on him like that. Typically, you see guys kind of chase it up the hill before it spins out on him, but that thing just shot to the left, and I think we found the culprit right there.
And just like that, our second caution is underway. And also, you talk about trends a lot for these races. Not surprised by the amount of yellows here early, because with the Xfinity cars, with the full send racing series, they do swap back and forth on what car they're using. Season 1, they started out in the Xfinity car. Season 2, they went to the trucks. Season 3, they went back to the Xfinity car. Season 4, back to the trucks. And now, currently in Season 5, we're in the Xfinity car. And every time they've been in the Xfinity car, there have been 8 cautions. So they are keeping to the trends that cautions are known to happen in this vehicle.
Yeah, cautions are known, and cautions breed cautions. And while we were under caution, it's a lot of cautions in one sentence. Doug Pierce had an issue. Looks like he might have locked the brakes and got into the half spun into the outside wall in the 39 machine. So just more just kind of weirdness going on here in the early parts of this race.
Very much odd scenarios. Also, more drivers coming in pit road from 18th back to 25th. Drivers coming into pit road to get service done. Cameron Sarton in 18th, Nick Holland, Chris Stitz, Tony Brent, and Joshua Altis going to be taking 4 tires and fuel, as Brian L. Wilson, Tyler Thomas, David McConnell came into pit road with William Duff and Trey Jackson to get tires, fuel, and repairs before they can get back out there on track, as we have hit the halfway marker before this stage is done. Stage break at the end of lap 60, so the drivers still have plenty of action to see who can be in the top 10 before this stage is over. And Olsketty looking quick, but he's going to have just that of a 20 lap advantage over Will Bustler and everyone else inside of our top 9. And then everyone that just came into pit road, they have a 9 lap advantage over Cole Sketty, Travis Dart, John Dart, and as well Ross Tatum.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a fun battle with if Cameron Sarton, Nick Holland, Chris Stitz, and those guys, when they get up to Ross Tatum, John Dart, Travis Dart, and Cole Sacchetti, what that speed difference is going to be like, along with them getting through everybody who's still out on the original set of tires. It's going to set us up for a pretty fun last 30 laps here in the stage, Sam, with all the different tire strategies.
Yeah, and it also kind of makes you a little bit more terrified in some fashion, because we just saw that contact of seeing a faster driver coming up on a slower driver, and could be seeing that similar situation happen here as the field stacks up. The 1-to-go marker has been given as the lights are off. It's time for us to see how this field's going to take off. But, I mean, Trevor, 30 laps into this run, we've had our quick 2 cautions. What are you expecting here for this final 30 laps before we're done with this stage?
I don't want to say it. You think we might be in for maybe 1 or 2 more cautions, Sam, just based off the tire differences and the closing rate gaps. We could see a little bit more beating and banging on one another as they work their way through the field. But I think you just got to wait and see what's going to happen with the 42 and the 24, how quickly they can get through the field, and if they can battle one another for the stage win. I don't think Will Bustler, Chris Stevens, Medlin, Campbell, Zach Hall, if those guys are going to have anything to hold off the guys on fresh tires.
Is it the tires that have been taken early, or can we have another quick stint before we have another caution that can stack things up once again on who takes another extra set before the stage is done? Pace car is off, getting ready for the Impact Sim Design 200 into the restart zone. Will Bustler, Chris Stevens ready to be the control drivers once again. Another great launch for the 1, but the rest of the field, a little bit of a stack of Travis Dart. Missed shift in the back half of the field's got to scatter.
Yeah, they scatters the back half of the field, and that's right where John Dart, Cameron Sarton, and Chris Stitz, and all those guys who just took tires, that's where they all are. And so that's going to stack all of them up and cost them a little bit of time as they try to work that out. But up front, Cole Sacchetti going to use that outside line, and here he comes. Sam used the outside line to his advantage. But back here, that's where all that battling is. Curtis Poletska getting past there by the 17, the 13, Nick Holland, Chris Stitz, at 44, falling back through the field on these guys as these guys get by them on fresher tires.
Yeah, those that just came into pit road for fresh rubber, they are going to be screaming quick over those that have not came into pit road yet. 44, obviously going to be the first victim that is going backwards quickly. But up front, Cole Sacchetti, he's on the move. He wants to take the lead as soon as possible, at least get a lap led. It's McDonald's machine on the outside trying to get the pass on Christopher Norris in the 38, setting up Ken Campbell and other drivers that are on fresh rubber. It's going to be Travis Dart. It's the next driver in line with the fresh tires.
And Dart, you can see at the back of the picture, making a big move to the inside, but they're wrecking. It's Norris and Cole Sacchetti into 4.
Sacchetti up in the outside lane, trying to hold steady. Christopher Norris parks it up on the outside of the wall. And Velechka able to just neatly squeeze through the outside. And another quick caution in drivers. We got to see this one. We know it's between the 38 and the 42. What exactly got them into that scary situation?
We're going to have to wait and see. I didn't see it happen, watching, kind of glance back at it and saw them wrecking into turn number 3. And I think another case of new tires, old tires, and maybe just trying to be a little too close to one another causes this. And it just looks like just not giving enough room maybe down the back straightaway, gets those cars hooked together, and there they go off into turn number 3.
Yeah, I mean, they looked good off the exit initially, and then we're going to have to see a different angle of this because it just looks like, I don't know if Norris came up or maybe there was a little bit of quote unquote wind that got them hooked together. Because I know that the wind has been a big issue of recent of drivers getting into contact, even though there's space around one another. And I think this might be another one of those wind incidences popping up.
It very well could be. I mean, you can see Norris moving the wheel to the left there on the onboard shot, and it just kind of snaps him back to the right. So maybe that is the case here, and just unfortunate for both of those guys. As Cole Sacchetti's going to have to come down and get damage repaired. Norris is going to have to come down and get some damage repaired, and that's going to be a lot of track position lost for both of them.
Major track position lost, as see the drivers talked about awkward just snapping right there is when it just snaps across. And for Cole Sacchetti, I mean, this is not the way that he thought this run was going to work out for himself. He was the first driver with some of the fresher tires in the field, making the way on the outside, passing on these drivers, and now it's thrown away into pit road. Going to have to get repairs for 42. Other drivers to watch out for: Cameron Starr and Chris Stitz. They were flying, Trevor. They're up to 10th and 11th already.
Yeah, they were working their way up through the field after that kind of scattered restart. Once everybody got composed in the back half of the field, they were marching their way through the field. I think that would have been a fun battle to watch, but they've got right in front of them John Dart and Travis Dart, who came into pit road on that lap 20 caution. So how quickly will they be able to get by them? But if we keep having these quick cautions like this, Sam, I mean, Will Bustler, Chris Stevens, Brian McCann, they're looking pretty good up there if we keep having these 3 or 4 lap runs and then a caution.
Yeah, I mean, if they are able to save a set of tires, if they can keep this pace kind of going of a caution every other lap, it's able to keep track position, also able to keep themselves in a pretty good spot for an extra set of tires later on in the race. But based off what we're seeing right now, you might not want to be in the back half or middle of the field. We've seen drivers just running into one another as we have ourselves driver cams. Usually we talk about, we got the Andrew Medlin cam. Well, we've got a few other ones out there. We have ourselves here, 6th place runner, Alex Jones. And it's going to be one of our new cameras out there for the Full Send Racing series. We also got a couple of others that will be showing off, but good to see new faces out on the screen. Trevor and the 45 having a good run right now.
Yeah, having a great run up there in 6th position, up 10 spots from where he qualified here tonight. I'm going to see if he can put any pressure here on Jonathan Woods and those guys in front of him once we get back going. But yeah, it's nice not to just have the Medlin cam now. We have other drivers that we can check in on and see how they're doing throughout the course of the night. Maybe get to see different driving styles compared to one another.
Yeah, and see if anyone else can compete to the focused sights of Andrew Medlin as the field gets the one-to-go marker. Will Usler, Chris Stevens going to be up front with Brian McCann, who's able to be one of our bigger movers so far because of everyone coming into pit road. The 8 is now up to 3rd after qualifying in 24th. I'm interested to see how the 8's now going to perform being up front. With this restart, 3rd position, not a bad spot to be, especially with the leader being right in front of you.
No, not a bad spot at all. If Will Bustler can get a good start here and McCann can time it well, he might be able to clear the 14 of Stevens. We saw that with Cameron Sarton when he started right behind Will Bustler a couple of restarts ago. So maybe McCann can get that lucky. Maybe he'll have a little bit of speed here to go up and challenge that one of Will Bustler, because once Bustler's gotten out in front, Sam, he's been kind of untouchable when he's been on the same set of tires as everybody around him.
Yeah, he certainly has been. And I know that we've got ourselves some fans of the Texas Speed drivers. Furthest up, 14th position, going to be Tony Brent and that 28 machine. Tyler Thomas going to be back in 15th. So watch out, see if they can make their climb moving forward with fresh rubber. But Will Bustler, Chris Stevens about to hit the restart zone for the Impact Sim Design 200 at Dover. We're back to green flag action as the one fabulous launcher himself, Brian McCann, trying to get rolling, but it looks to be Stevens holding steady for second.
Yeah, Stevens had a really good restart there, was able to hold off McCann. And guy actually gets to the rear bumper here, the one of Bustler. Just doesn't have enough momentum off of 2 or off of 1 and 2 to get a run on him. You're going to have to tuck in line. Back behind them, here comes Travis Dart on those fresh tires. He's closing up to the back end of the 45 of Alex Jones to see if he can get that position done. Right behind that of Travis Dart, here comes the 24 of Cameron Sark.
Yeah, those drivers on fresh rubber about to be climbing in the top 5, but they're going to have to wait. Caution flag waves as driver having issues. It looks to be the 42 again of Cole Sacchetti, and this damage looks even worse than before.
A bad night gone worse for the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, and that's one of the cases there, Sam. A mistake can kind of snowball into bigger mistakes. Looking here at the replays, the 42 looks like Velechka just trying to stay high there. Sacchetti coming off the corner, and
once again, the wind is attacking. That's the 3rd time that it's happened. It happened on caution 1, 3, and now 4. And these drivers, this has got to be a headache for them here tonight because you're not safe if you're just driving next to somebody now.
I mean, I don't think anybody did anything wrong there. I mean, it's just a case of a pretty strong gust of wind that sends the 42 up in front of the 44, and that's going to be a terminal night there, I believe, for the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, who is one of the heavy favorites coming in here tonight.
Well, he is certainly not loving the way that this race is going for the 42, and a lot of these drivers hoping that this race would have been a little bit more clean and green. But for tonight's race, these drivers dealing with a little bit of a hotter track. Ambient temperature going to be 78 degrees, track temp 112. We're talking about wind. Well, virtually the wind is around 10 to 11. It has climbed up to almost 15 miles per hour. Luckily, it's dropping, and the field is open. That will maybe go down to 1, and that way we won't have to worry about any more of this invisible contact.
Yeah, I'm sure the drivers would love to see that wind speed go down just a little bit more to make these cars a little bit more stable when they're racing by one another, and we don't get drivers getting pushed across each other's noses because of a strong gust of wind. But I mean, that's part of it, Sam. That's things you've got to deal with in the sim, and unfortunately, it's going to cost Cole Sacchetti a chance at getting a win here tonight.
Cole Sacchetti going to be all the way back in 26th position, dealing with damage. Luckily, it's not required damage, but still going to have to get those repairs done. Up front, though, Will Bustler, Chris Stevens, Brian McCann, Jake Grant, as well as Jonathan Woods, still yet to come to pit road. Add to that collection of drivers is Alex Jones, as well as Philip Chavez. Hoping to save a set before the stage break is done, which our stage break at the end of lap 60. But if there is a caution between the laps of 55 to 60, that will count as a stage break for these drivers. So everyone is in the knowledge that we're probably 1 to 2 more cautions if we continue at this rate from our stage being done. And then I'm curious if we can get some green flag racing, because the pressure of those points, Trevor, I'm curious if that's also maybe a little bit of influence on why we're seeing some of these wrecks.
It very well could be. I mean, we saw how we've seen the last couple of seasons how important stage points have been, and when you're at a track like Dover and you know tires are important, you get these cautions halfway through a stage, 3/4 or a quarter of the way to the halfway through a stage. You're going to have drivers come in, take those fresh tires and be aggressive to get as many stage points as they can, and that leads to the issues that we've seen here tonight. But hopefully we can get through the rest of the stage and see how this is going to play out, because I know it's got to be so frustrating for drivers like Travis Dart, Cameron Sarton, John Dart, Chris Stitz, those guys on fresh tires, that they're not making any progress through the field here.
No, they have not been able to make as much progress as they were initially hoping that they would if we were to get some green flag racing action. Now, the first 20 laps was great green flag racing action. It's been cautions breeding cautions, and this is what Dover can sometimes bring out. A racetrack with the name of Miles the Monster, you expect it to be a tough course for these drivers to handle. But Trevor, what are the other aspects of this track that makes it so difficult once we go green?
You got to deal with the concrete eats the tires alive. So you got to deal with the tire wear. The cars can be, depending on how you drive it, they can be loose off the corner, they can be tight off the corner, depending on where you pick up the throttle. And just getting by each other, it can be so difficult. You can use the outside line to pin the guy on the inside down, use the momentum to your advantage. So it's just a tough track all in all aspects just to get around it.
Well, now we're gonna have to give it another try. We've had 4 quick cautions back to back. A few laps here or there. We've been able to run green. We're hoping that we can keep it green to the end of this thing because we're gonna be having ourselves a 15-lap run until this stage is done. Top 10 drivers get stage points. And we know there's a few that got some fresh rubber. Some that just came into pit road to get service and also get some tires. Gonna be 21st back to 27th. Getting some tires and repairs done. Christopher Norris, Valechka, Dylan, and Tree Jackson gonna be the newest drivers to just take tires. And up front, it's Travis Dart with some of the freshest tires of those up front in this group. Will Bustler, Chris Stevens, paired and ready for takeoff as the pace car pulls it into pit road, into the Geico restart zone, and the Impact Sim Design 200 is about to be back underway. Green flag is in the air. The one gets a decent launch for himself. It looks to be everyone in that third row that's having the issues.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start there from the 19 of Jacob Grant, but everybody now getting single filed out. It's going to be side by side between that of Jonathan Woods, the 26 of Travis Dart. It's going to be Dart on the freshest tires, trying to get up through the field. He's got the 24 of Cameron Sarton right on his tail as those two, the freshest set of tires, trying to work their way through, closing in on the 19 of Grant. And this is not, I think, what the one of Bustler and all these guys in front of them want to see is here comes the fresh tires.
They're going to be 3 wide in the middle of the pack, though. Drivers got to be careful going into 1 and 2, but the outside lane looking strong. But it's Travis Dart who makes the move. An in-and-out machine looking hungry to get the lead position, and same hungry for the lead spot. It's Chris Stevens in the lead position as the tires with fresh rubber are trying to make their way through the field. Watch out, we're about to see some collisions because Will Bustler's got to hold off Chris Stevens and the fresh tires of Travis Dart, and as well the 2-time champ Cameron Sarton, who just moved into the top 5.
This might be 3 wide. They think better of it coming out of turn number 2, and it's going to be that of Travis Dart. Going to get around the 14 of Stevens, heading down here into 3 and 4. Going to look to the outside, see if he can get around the 1 of Will Bustler. And here comes that 26. You can just see the grip difference in the tires as he gets to the outside of Will Bustler. Here comes the 24 of Sarton. He's going to look to the inside maybe of that of Chris Stevens. We got actually on board cam here with Travis Dart as he's looking focused, trying to get around this one machine and gets him cleared out of turn number 2.
Gets clear, takes the lead, and now has to hold off the other drivers that are on the move. It's the 26 in-and-out machine, feeling comfortable and good, was able to safely navigate his way through all the traffic as old tires versus new. Next driver he's got to worry about, though, 24 of Cameron Sarton on the charge. He's now up to 3rd place, and Chris Stitz probably looking like the most visible driver that's been making some pretty aggressive moves, and Joshua Altis. They are just splitting drivers on their way forward.
Yeah, Stitz and Altis have been more aggressive here than the 24 Cameron Sarton. Sarton kind of took it easy behind the 14 of Stevens, but now going to be aggressive, get to the outside of the 1 of Will Bustler. That's going to be for 2nd, but Stitz and Altis both on the charge here behind the 24 on the same pit strategy as that of Cameron Sarton. They're going to have to see if they can get up here and run down Travis Dart in that 26 machine.
As the field trying to figure out where the comfort zone is going to be, Will Bustler just a sitting duck with those that have such fresher tires. That is what a 30-lap disadvantage looks like to the 1 as Joshua Altis makes the pass up to 4th place. The 1 falls to 1st, but drivers are on some of the newest tires. Tony Brent trying to make the move as the 28 is making the charge, and as well, Andrew Medlin. Medlin is on the freshest tires of everyone inside of our top 10.
And Brent, the Daytona winner, on that same strategy as Cameron Sarton. Those guys working his way through the field, but Medlin came down on lap 36. He's got the freshest tires, like you said, out of everybody working his way through the field. And they were almost 3 wide there for a second, Sam, and a great recognition from Nick Holland in the 13 to back out of that and not make that a 3 wide situation.
Point, see who's going to take the top positions. Top 10 positions are on the line. End of lap 60 will be our stage break, and only the top 10 drivers get bonus points. That's why we're seeing some of these aggressive passes going on. Ken Campbell going to be the buffer driver as he's trying to set up to get by Nick Holland, who also is trying to be a little bit wary as Tony Brent with the bad entry into turn 1.
Yeah, Nick Holland, I mean, again, on that same strategy as the guys up in front of him. Just you can see the difference, even though it's only going to be that of about 8 laps or so. You can see just the speed difference between the tire sets as he's got to hold off Ken Campbell, Zach Hall, and those guys in front of him and try to work his way a little bit forward, but losing a little bit of time to that of John Dart Andrew Medlin into one of Will Bustler, but Bustler really stacking everybody up here coming out of turn number 2.
The main reason why Will Bustler is defending perfectly. He's having a very high entry point, was just forcing the drivers that are trying to make these passes. They are not allowed to go on that outside lane to set up for a pass. And John Dark rushes the outside wall, forcing him to lose some time. And Andrew Medlin, the quicker tires, the best tires out on track to 12, putting the pressure on and almost making contact on the exit of 2.
Got to be careful as Bustler gets a little bit loose, gets into the wall, and almost another 3 wide moment is they really on top of one another. John Dark to the inside of that of Nick Holland. I thought they were going to go 3 wide again, but again, Holland thinking better of it. Holland gets into the wall, and here comes Campbell, the 28 of Brent, or Zach Hall, just sitting at the back of all this, just watching this unfold in front of him.
Waiting for just the madness to strike. These drivers are really testing the limits. We've seen some of the issues that have struck to bring out the most recent yellows, and seeing these drivers as top one another, you just have a feeling that it's about to just bubble over and we're going to have a major wreck strike. But we need this stage yellow to come out, as these drivers just have 3 more laps before our stage yellow comes out.
3 laps to go in the stage, and I gotta say, I'm so surprised at how well Will Bustler has been able to hold everybody off, but this might be where the floodgate opens for him, as Nick Holland's going to get to the inside here in 3 and 4, and this could open the door for Ken Campbell. Zach Holland, those guys behind him, to get past this one machine. The defense has been valiant, but I think it's all going to come to an end here.
Able to hold off for 3 laps, but that's all the one can do. And as this group continues to move forward, Will Bustler is in a scary spot because we got 2 laps left in the stage. And Tony Brent is looking quick, so is Tyler Thomas. They can catch the 1. They might be able to steal away these stage points at the end.
Might be able to get 1 or 2 stage points for themselves if they can catch up. Bustler's just got to try to survive 4 more corners, but I don't know if those tires are going to hang on for him as they head down here into 1 and 2. Got about a 3 or 4 car length gap back to the 28 and the 11 as the 2 Texas Speed teammates try to close in on this one machine.
Of the battle for the lead, who's going to take the top spot at the end of this stage? Travis Dart trying to hold off the fresher tires behind him, but not able to do so. The 2-time champ, Cameron Sard, steals the lead at the end, but they have to wait until 10th place crosses the line. That's Tony Brent currently, and the yellow flag comes out, and Travis Dart was so close. I think he might have held on to second.
Yeah, so close to getting the stage win. The last lap pass there on the stage for Cameron Sarton. I think able to hold off Chris Stitz. I think he let off a little bit going into 1 and 2.
Oh, no issues. Contact after the yellow flag came out. Nick Holland, Tony Brent making contact with one another, and it's Nick Holland actually and Ken Campbell making late contact that brought out an incident after the yellow was thrown.
Just more chaos. Post caution, more cars going everywhere. Craziness, Sam. Just craziness.
Ah, man, it's just madness here once the yellow comes out, and this is what happens. It's actually going to be ahead of these guys. You see the 15 and the 13. They're going to make contact here on the straightaway, which looks to be, again, wind aspects that makes the wreck. But then the 13 is going to come brushing down, self-cleaning. The 28 not slowing down, instead speeds up. He's trying to avoid. You see him letting off for a quick second. That's what that flash of the gases, and trying to sneak through the bottom, but the narrow window closes, and Tony Brent, Daytona winner, hard contact for himself.
Yeah, just not a smart move there from the 28. I mean, you see his teammate right there in the 11 going by, Tyler Thomas. Gets by on the outside, and I think had he just followed his teammate, lifted off, might have been able to make it through, but tried to shoot to the bottom to get clear of that. And we all know here at Dover, if you're wrecking at the top, you're going to come down to the bottom eventually, and just nowhere to go for the 28 as he tried to gas his way through that wreck.
Just in one fell swoop, drivers caught up in a mess. But with drivers making their pit stops and getting back out on track currently, again, our stage winner will be the 24 of Cameron Sarton that just got done with his pit stop. Drivers staying out, though, it's going to be Joshua Altus, Tyler Thomas, Peter Dillon, and Curtis Valechka. 4 drivers staying out on older rubber. We'll see how well they can defend, but hey, let's throw it down and see if we can collect and talk to our stage winner, if Cameron Sarton, get his thoughts on how that run went down for himself after getting the stage win. Cameron Sarton, it's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got y'all. What's going on?
What's going on? You just found yourself with another stage win. How are you feeling in this 24 machine?
Yeah, feel pretty good here. Dover's one of my better tracks. Bustler's pretty fast there, so I'm just trying to keep pace with them early. Saw some guys pit behind me, so I knew the best I was finishing was probably 4th or 5th if I stayed out right there. And caution about, 5-6 laps later, so took a gamble, missed a couple of wrecks, and had a good little battle with Travis there at the end. So hopefully you can capitalize on it and with the clean air and get a win finally. But it feels good to get a stage win, playoff point.
Well, Cameron, I mean, the 4 cars that stayed out all come down pit road, so you're going to have that clean air on this restart. What's going to be the key here to the second half of this race to stay up front and stay in that clean air?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to when to push and when not, because clean air is huge here, even if in Xfinity, so you can burn up your tires so fast. So conserving those, but at the same time running hard when you need to, it's going to be pretty important. And if we get a long green flag run, hitting pit road correctly, so people will be able to gain a few seconds there. But should be a pretty good show, and hopefully we keep the orange bus up in front.
Hey, we're hoping for the best for you, Cam. Good luck, and hopefully we can be talking at the end of the night.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, that's going to be Ghost Racing driver of Cameron Sarton, who will now be taking the lead after the 4 drivers I listed off deciding to pull into pit road, trying to get some extra bonus points. But with some of these most recent incidences, drivers have called it a night early. Trey Jackson in the 55, the most recent driver to pull his vehicle into pit road. Also, drivers with required damage, Tony Brent in the 28 and Nick Holland, both with required damage, as they were both caught up in that after the yellow incident. Well, the drivers on screen, we know the driver that's on the bottom, that's Andrew Medlin. Travis Dart as well, going to be starting in 2nd place. Let's see how these 2 drivers are going to set up this restart, because Travis Dart's going to be on the outside for row number 1, and on the inside, it's Andrew Medlin in the 12. Big shout out to our producer, Robert Moore Jr., for getting these cameras set up for these drivers. Let's see what it's like to restart at Dover, as some of the drivers in our top 3 on cam. And Trevor, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this restart's going to go. Travis Dart with a great run for himself up there in 2nd, how he's going to restart. Andrew Mellon, I mean, we know he's quick on short tracks as well, going to be restarting there in 3rd, and kind of get an inside look at how these restarts go here at Dover with both these driver cams pulled up.
Who's going to survive? Who's going to get through the gears cleanly? Let's find out as the base car pulls off into the Geico restart zone. This Impact Sim Design 200 back underway. No more stage racing. It's all about the win. And here we go as the drivers shift through the gears and roar into turn number 1.
Roaring into 1 they go, and already you can see a little bit of a difference. It's Medlin using an H pattern, the Travis Dart using the paddle shifters on the wheel to get up through the gears, but Zach Hall with the best restart, I think, out of everybody. He's going to get to the outside of his teammate Andrew Medlin, almost had him clear halfway down the back straight, but going to have to be side by side with him here into 3 and 4, and that's going to be the battle for 3rd position.
Trying to take off like a rocket ship, and moving up to 4th is the goal. Already up to 4th, now moving up to 3rd. Can they make the pass as Travis Dart's trying to hold off the rest of the field in behind them? The mirror is looking full, and Cameron Sarton in the lead position, looking clear and good to move forward as it's a stack up for 2nd on back.
Yeah, it's trying to get as many positions as you can while everybody is still stacked on one another. And I think Travis Dart trying to save maybe a little bit of tire at the start of the run, and that just allowed Zach Hall to drive right past Medlin and himself, and also bring the 14 to Chris Stevens, who had a great opening run for himself back into the pictures. He's out to the outside now of Travis Dart in that battle for 3rd.
As we're right on board with the 26, to his outside was the 14, bouncing off the outside wall, having a scare, flipping up and making people lose a little bit of traction at this time as Jason Bratton gets into the mix. And Will Hustler, pole sitter, Matt Meyer in 7th place 1. He is stuck in a place he's not been all night long.
Yeah, stuck just kind of back here in traffic as we're on board with the 19, I believe, here of Jacob Grant. You see he's watching the battle in front of him between Stevens and Medlin. But he's got the one of Will Bustler to his inside. You can't really see it from this camera, but car to his inside, as you can just see the one sneaking by there. He's just stuck, but going to jump down here behind the one to see if he can get a run here on the 14. He really looks like he's struggling since he got into that outside wall.
Yeah, really struggling to keep that momentum. I mean, you get some of that outside damage. It's going to be tough to deal with moving forward. This lead group looking strong. That's our top 9, all in this lead pack, working as one the best that they can. The entry of these corners have looked very testing on who's willing to get aggressive. They see a small opening. Looks like they are trying to attack, while others being a little bit more patient, like the 26. But let's say that Travis Dart, Will Hustler, the 1 on the aggression now.
Yeah, not at all surprised to see Will Bustler trying to work his way back through the field. We saw how quick he was in that opening run until the tire strategy just kind of ate him up. But it's interesting to see here Travis Dart's approach to this, Sam. I think he's learned from seasons past and is taking it easy here on the start to save a little bit of tire, maybe banking on having a long green flag run here.
I mean, once you take away the stage points, the fact that there's a number you're chasing for that lap 60, once that's removed and it's about getting to the end of lap 200, it seems like everyone's settling in, recognizing it's a long race. Let's get prepared. We can have a long run here and wait for that green flag pit stop. Jacob Grant, though, into 5th position. This is the highest the 19's been almost all season long. It's great to see him moving into a groove, finally looking a little bit more comfortable up front.
Yeah, it's good to see it. And, you know, I think I mentioned it earlier, was having a great run at Chicagoland last week till he got involved in a couple of incidents. So good to see him get that bounce back this week and get that out of his head as he's running up here in the top 5 and maybe having a little look here to the Medlin, who I think Bustler getting held up, maybe feeling like he's getting held up by the 32 of Zach Hall, and been really aggressive on that rear bumper and kind of stacking these guys up.
Trying to catch up with the pressure on Cameron Sarton, who's in the lead and now kind of be in a protective defensive mode. Is the 24 after getting that position for himself, and a lot of this field trying to figure out how to settle in, get prepared for this push and run, as it can be a long one, as our top, that of looking at this field, are basically our top 10, 11 drivers in line with one another, a little bit of battling for 8th place, but it seems to be get in line. Hope that you stay up front, pace yourself. Who's going to have better tires for the long run, it looks like, for this group?
Yeah, that's going to be the real key here. Who's been too aggressive maybe early on? Who's saving maybe a little bit of tires back there side by side? It was Travis Dart, Ken Campbell, but they get that sorted out quickly. And now our top 10 here, pretty much all single filed out. Top 11 is Travis Dart, kind of on the tail end of that. And then you got the second group here, led by the 21 of Ross Tatum, who survived. I mean, Sam, he was in that first caution, the massive melee that was in turn 1 and 2. And we saw him get involved in that. And he's had a great recovery back up here in the 12th, getting chased here by the 11 Tyler Thomas.
Yeah, phenomenal recovery for the shirt. And I think that's what you're looking for, are those recovery moments for yourself. And Tyler Thomas, currently in 13th place, the highest runner of the Texas Speed drivers. And they've had a tough night so far. A lot of them have been heavily damaged and trying to get back to this race with the damage repairs. Right now, setting up, trying to get by Ross Tatum, and also Alex Jones behind the 11, putting the pressure on.
Yeah, putting the pressure on. I think a lot of the Texas Speed guys were involved in that lap, that first caution we had in turns 1 and 2, and then we saw what happened to the 28 of Tony Brent on that last caution, or right there at the stage. Tyler Thomas trying to fly the flag for Texas Speed, but having to hold off this 45, who's looked good, just with those pit stops, lost a little bit of track position, trying to work his way back through the field.
On the move on the outside is the 11 of Tyler Thomas. See if he can get a better run off the exit. Look to be just setting up a run. Now back bounces to the inside lane, but not close enough to set up the pass. 11 will have to just wait in line as this field about to get inching closer and closer to the halfway marker. We're not even at the halfway point here, Trevor, and we're down. We started out with 34 drivers that took the green. Only 22 are on the lead lap. Crazy to see how those major wrecks that just mounted on top of one another have really changed the aspect of this race.
Yeah, it really kind of just turned it upside down. We had a great field to start the night, and then that 7-car wreck on the first caution, and then a couple of 2 or 3 car wrecks that have really just kind of taken cars out of the race has got us down now to that of 22 cars on the lead lap. And Cole Sketti going to be the first car that's 2 laps down, but he's the only car kind of within touch with being 2 laps down. There's Doug Pierce 5 laps down, and everybody else multiple laps down after that. So tough night for a lot of these guys from 23rd on back.
And Doug Pierce is trying to recover after missing the first 7 laps. That automatically put him 7 laps down. So at least he's gotten 2 laps back, but still a long night for the 39. As seeing the battling for 12th position, Tyler Thomas, he seems to be at one moment showing signs that he can catch up to the 21's bumper, but making the pass seems to be the tough aspect. But drivers ahead of him are trying to make some moves as Travis Dart, Jonathan Woods, side by side, the 2 on the outside, 26 on the inside groove. As we zoom in and get a look at this, the two might be set up to be losing more than just one position.
Yeah, I think Travis Dart finally starting to turn the wick up here just a little bit. Going to try to work his way back through the field as he'd fallen behind Jonathan Woods, but now able to get that spot back, and that's actually going to open the door for the 15 of King Campbell to try to take advantage of that. Maybe Woods losing a little bit of momentum. It's gonna be tight off the corner and exit, but Campbell's going to get that spot clear up in front of the two. That's going to move him up to 9th position.
And Jonathan Woods was really wanting to make sure he didn't lose any more positions as he falls in between Campbell and John Dart. Jonathan Woods, big positive that was taken away from the last season, getting the win at Daytona to start the season up. The two machine has been trying to find a little bit more consistency at these intermediate and bigger tracks, and the two, pretty good run so far in 10th place. He qualified in 12th, been trying to find that consistency, and it looks like he is doing so. We fall back to 18th though. Ryan L. Wilson in a very odd spot where he's just in no man's land, where he's in 18th spot, and there's no one really in front of him or behind for position. Kind of just dealing with some of the lap cars. Another driver that's in no man's land, Joshua Altis, who at one moment was running up front. He's just kind of just waiting for a caution to come out and get some damage repairs.
Yeah, I think maybe Wilson, Altis, maybe just having a nice, easy run here to maybe setting themselves up for some pit strategies. We see here the 77 of William Duff down here in 20th, and Sam, even with that, the hood missing on that 77 machine, he's up 12 spots from where he started. So with all the chaos and the damage he's had, been able to move up 12 spots into the top 20.
And Curtis Valechka had a little bit of a scare when he was trying to get by the 11, but hey, still having a good run, just trying to survive has always been the key for the 44. As Peter Dillon, got to be careful, lead lap drivers, and this 27 didn't look comfortable when he was forced 3 wide, and he continues to fall backwards, dealing with damage, but also one of those drivers that's trying to learn on how to get better at oval tracks. This 27, more of a road course competitor. So when we go to a road course, expecting big things, but up front, Will Bustler has moved up to 2nd place, and the one is trying to find a way to catch up to Cameron Sarton.
Yeah, trying to catch up to him. He got to his rear bumper a couple times watching him get through the field, and then now starting to fall back just a little bit from the 24. So maybe Will might have used up the tires, maybe needs to pull them off for a couple of laps to try to mount another charge at the 24 as they come up to the 44 of Curtis Valechka to put him a lap down. Some more lap traffic that these leaders have to deal with, and this could cause issues. I mean, we've seen a couple of cars get into the wall, and you can see Valechka there with a big moment out of 4, and Bustler having to take evasive action as they try to get around that 44 machine.
Yeah, Will Bustler having the biggest loser of that situation as he had to lose so much momentum by ducking down low, but it allows Zach Hall to close in that gap for 2nd place, and he's thinking about putting the charge on. Zach Hall, coming off of last season, 7 wins for this 32 machine. The championship grab, was the most dominant driver. Really, the only person that was closer was Ross Tatum, who sadly came away with 7 second place finishes. Right now, Zach Hall, he's hoping to get back into that win column, yet to do so. Tonight be that night.
I mean, could be. Just got to not make mistakes on pit road on green flag pit stops. We've seen it here in full send. We've seen it in other leagues we covered where he's made mistakes on pit stops, and gotta make sure you get those down and down pat so you don't have those issues for himself. But right now, under pressure from his teammate there of Andrew Medlin, and Sam, I think I saw the 94 of Joshua Altis on pit road.
Yeah, I was checking to see if it was required or damage. Looks to be a scheduled stop for the 94. Committed to pit road, 4 tires and fuel. I'm gonna get back out there on track. I think for Joshua Altis, expecting this race to kind of turn into more of a wreck fest after the stage break was done. Maybe wasn't expecting this race to turn into a long green flag run. But luckily, the 94 clean in, exiting out. But the issue when you come into pit road, you find yourself only going 35 miles per hour. That is a crawl with the rest of the field, climbing up to 165, almost 170 miles per hour at their fastest.
Yeah, I think you pretty much go 2 laps down whenever you make a green flag pit stop, and then have to wait for it all to cycle out. And I'm not quite sure what the fuel run is going to be. I'm assuming somewhere around that 60 to 70 lap mark, you'll probably see these guys come down and pit. So early stop there for the 94 machine compared to what I think our leaders could run here.
Yeah, I'm expecting our leaders maybe lap 120 to be the they're expecting to make their first pit, make their pit stop. They could just barely make it to the end. You could see others try to stretch it a little bit sooner as Our leaders getting by lap traffic the best that they can. And as we're marching closer to the halfway point of this race, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll give you more racing action here for the Full Send Racing Series. A lot of racing action still to be had as we've still got 100+ laps to go at Dover. It's the Impact Sim Design 200, race number 3. We'll be back right after this.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at him. That's it.
It's
Bottom line, here it comes.
Oh,
I know
no,
Carter gets wrecked. It's going to be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh,
him.
they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another, just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes into 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Full Send Racing action on Freak Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Trevor Earhart up in the booth. Robert Moore, January Productions in the background. And thank you for joining with us. If you're just joining now, well, we just got done with the stage break at the end of lap 60, and we have been clean and green since. The field starting to get more scattered as lap traffic has been a little bit of a hassle for our leaders as they've been pretty much been through this cleanly. Cameron Sarton leads the way, but the middle of the pack for that of 8th, 9th, and 10th. See on screen having a pretty good battle between themselves as Ken Campbell trying to get by Chris Stevens, as well as having lap traffic on the outside. This has been a wild one, and Trevor, certainly this race, a little bit different from what we were expecting when we came into the season.
Yeah, a little bit different. Had a lot of cautions early on. Now a long green flag run, so we'll have to see if that can, keep up and maybe green flag pit stops for these guys. We've already seen a couple, and here comes the 19 of Jacob Grant off of pit road. He made his pit stop, and we'll have to see what the rest of the field's going to decide to do here, Sam.
Jacob Grant, part of the SMB Motorsports team. That's also Joshua Altus, kind of both, with very different strategies for most of major undercuts from what we were expecting this field to attack with. As we were aiming maybe at the zone of potentially lap 120 to maybe lap 140 could be the area of drivers thinking about making their final pit stop of the night. If we stay green, there's still a lot of wide open areas of where could they go. But as this race stands right now, it's Cameron Sarton, Will Bustler, your top 2 with Zach Hall, Andrew Medlin, and Ryan McCann finishing out your top 10. As we have ourselves a little bit of a quiet period of this race, we want to give a huge shout out to the major sponsors here at the Full Send Racing Series. Starting things off with ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go head over to ButtKicker.com. Check out Gamer 2. Make sure that you're having the best experience with iRacing so you have the best way. Instead of just hearing the sounds, why not feel the sounds with ButtKicker? And as well, once you get your ButtKicker, you need to attach it to something, which is a racing rig. And where do you get a racing rig? It's at Next Level Racing. NextLevelRacing.com have a variety of different packages of racing rigs you can get, from it highly expensive, top-of-the-line racing rigs to some of their more recent packages that they've made a lot more affordable if you want to be prepared to put your racing to the next level. And if you're looking for a button box, go head over to Gersim Studios, as Gersim Studios is one of the best button boxes that you can get. Seeing their commercials, if you've been watching since the beginning, go head over to Instagram or Facebook to grab your button box today. And as you get through your day, gotta find a way to fund your entertainment. Well, listen to On the Throttle podcast on that of Spotify and many of other great platforms to listen to your daily podcast. On the Throttle podcast, great to have them as a sponsor. Well, Trevor, sponsors are done. Now it's time to look at some of the strategy calls these drivers can make. And on the move is Jacob Grant, but he's on those old tires trying to unlap himself.
Yeah, I think what's happening here, you're going to have the 2-stop strategy versus maybe a 1-stop, but I don't know if these guys can make it to that of lap, I would say 130-ish would put you in a comfortable spot to make that 1-stop work. But it's going to be the difference in tire speed, and I think you're going to want those tires over maybe the 1-stop. We're going to have to see where this 19 cycles out whenever everybody starts making their green flag pit stops.
Usually when we talk about times to come into pit road is our leader trying to get by that of the Ford machine of Dave McConnell, trying to get out of the way. But you're seeing drivers, major differences in pace. You've got drivers that are dealing with heavy damage that were caught up in those early cautions in our stage 1. Then you've got drivers that are just on lane, just the raw pace isn't there. You got our leaders that are trying to lap drivers, get people unlapping themselves with fresh tires. It's looking like madness right now on track of, even for our leader at this current moment, of who's going to get by who. We're watching the one of Will Bustler trying to find a way to get through this traffic as cleanly as possible as well.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do when you're dealing with lap traffic, damaged cars on fresh tires going by you. And then you're trying to hold off guys, that you're racing with. And we saw it when we came back from commercial break. Will Buster made a little bit of contact with a lap car through, I believe, 3 and 4. It might have been 1 and 2 as he was trying to get by. And that's just things that you have to deal with here as you work this lap traffic and trying to catch up and keep pace with everybody around you.
And as these drivers are deciding to make their pit stop now, one of the Texas Speed drivers of Jonathan Burt hits pit road, and as well going to be Peter Dillon. Both were a lap down at the time, making their pit stop. You're down to 16 drivers on the lead lap currently, as Cameron Sarton trying to build the lead as big as possible. Zach Hall going to be in 3rd, but Andrew Medlin, one of those drivers that's trying to close in the gap the best that he can. But again, the amount of unknown is really what's terrifying these drivers. As Will Bustler's got 2 lap cars he's trying to get by.
Yeah, you got to get around there. The 10 of Jay Becker and the 9 here of Brian Wilson. That he's got to work his way through. Just heavy lap traffic for our leaders. Is almost a little bit of contact between the 9 and the 1 down the back straightaway, but Bustler gets through it there. Zach Hall just kind of riding behind, watching all this unfold right in front of him.
Well, Zach Hall now has to figure out how does he get by the 3 lap cars that are now in between himself and Will Bustler. Our leader, Cameron Sarton, getting by Cole Sacchetti, and now has to get by Lechka, but right on top of the 32. You can just see the amount of drivers that are in front of this 32 machine. You think, okay, the driver directly in front of him is 4th position. No, it's 3 drivers ahead. That's 4th position.
Yeah, it's kind of, odd to see Brian Wilson just kind of off pace like this. I haven't seen that much or haven't seen him off pace like this in a while. So I'm really struggling here tonight. But yeah, Zach Hall gets around the 9. Now got to get around Jay Becker, and now add another lap car is the 44 Curtis Valechka is another lap down that he's got to get by before he can even think about running down the one of Will Bustler, who might put Cole Sacchetti again in between him and Zach Hall as the lap cars just continue to pile up in between those two.
And sometimes positive when you got lap traffic all around. You can have them kind of as a buffer between yourself and your competition. Andrew Medlin saw there trying to get through the field. He's got Brian McCann, the 8 machine winner from last week. Got to beat, trying to figure out how to get through this traffic. And Zach Hall had a quick scare there with Valechka off the exit 2.
Yeah, just dove to the inside there, and Valechka, I think maybe just got a little loose off the corner. Gets by, and looks like everybody able to get by him with Medlin. McCann by, and here comes Wilson out to the inside, a couple others. Valechka just doing his best to keep that car to the outside and let people by. But with that, I mean, Zach having to make that move, it allowed Medlin and McCann to close in. And here's Travis Dart. After trying to save a little bit of tire early on in the run, he's trying to run down these guys as he's caught up now to that lap traffic that those guys just got.
We got 3 machines. It's looking like we've got some class different racing, looking like some modifieds. You see Travis Dart on screen, trying to wheel his way through the lap traffic. These vehicles, heavy damage. I got to be impressed on the fact that these drivers, some of them, no foot, no front bumper, yet they're still able to drive and trying to get every position possible. That being Jonathan Pert, Tony Brent, and Jay Becker, just trying their best to get through this field and get through the night as we have 80 laps to go here this evening.
And Jay Becker right there in front of Travis Dart. You got no front bumper, no rear bumper on that 10 machine, but still out there turning laps, trying to get as much as he can. I don't even know if that car has a spoiler, to be honest with you, saying that car is so wounded, and it's right now is Travis able to get by him. And here the 45 of Alex Jones hasn't really made much progress since we last saw that 45, Sam. I think he restarted in about 12th position, now running in that 14th position, just having a nice quiet night for himself.
Yeah, but still it's up 2 spots from where he qualified. So this 45 will take what he can grab. Sometimes that's just what drivers are looking for, is a day where you qualified well and you're looking for a good top 15 finish. For some, others aim for some higher spots. For Alex Jones, he's staying out of trouble, which honestly, with how this race is going, that is the biggest thing that you can take away from these races.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what you could ask for, especially after how this race started. Just, hey, I'm going to stay out of trouble, see where I end up finishing. And right now, Alex Jones doing a great job running there in 14th position for himself.
And behind him, going to be Tyler Thomas, some of the highest runner of the Texas Speed drivers, as the rest of his teammates have been really struggling to just get away from the carnage. It felt like they've had magnets on top of them with the way that this race started out. I know it's fan favorite team out in chat. Tyler Thomas trying to hold on as he's actually being pressured with Jacob Grant on his rear end, forcing the 11 behind. 19's already blasted by.
Yeah, already got by on those fresh tires there, and you see the speed difference between the old tires and the fresh tires as we jump up to Ross Tatum, who's up to 11th position with the damage that he sustained in that first caution. Just having a nice, quiet recovery night for himself, trying to see if he can maybe steal himself a top 10 finish.
I mean, Ross Tatum comes into this season, was expecting a lot. He was the season 3 champion the last time they ran this Xfinity car, and he was hoping to get himself a victory lane as soon as possible. But right now, at this time, Ross, he's got 1 top 5, 2 top, he's got 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, the 3rd place last week. I mean, those are positions that you'll take here tonight. Like I said, just kind of a salvage evening for the 21.
Yeah, just not much you can do when you're caught up in a big wreck like that. You can see the little bit of right rear damage that he has on that car, just trying to recover. But here's the 15 of Ken Campbell up in 8th position. He's got Chris Stitz right behind him in 9th as those two try to march their way forward. And kind of a weird night for Ken, Sam. I would kind of expect a little bit more speed out of this 15 machine, but he's sitting just outside the top 5. Hasn't had the speed as much as his teammates of Zach Hall and Andrew Medlin.
And I think it could be the fact that he has gotten a couple of grazes of damage here and there throughout the night and just trying to keep his nose out of trouble, not forcing the issue, and realizing it's a long season. We're only on race number 3 of the season for these drivers. Now, the next couple of races is going to be a lot more in Ken Campbell's kind of wheelhouse as we're heading to Michigan next week, Iowa in 2 weeks, and in 3 weeks we head to Homestead, Miami for these drivers. And this next 3 race stint It's going to be 3 very different racetracks, but I think for most of the field, they're excited for this next grouping of tracks.
Yeah, I think everybody's excited to kind of get into the big open tracks and see what we see. I mean, Iowa going to be the shortest of tracks, but pretty fun track to go to. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the field. I mean, we got through Daytona. Chicago lane gave us a pretty good sample size, I think, of what to expect here. And tonight, again, a potential Sam for a third winner in 3 races.
And who could get the win here tonight? Will Bustler, he has been on top of the world on qualifying last week and tonight, hitting those poles. Let's see, Cameron Sarton finally break the curse and get back into victory lane. He hasn't done so since season 3. And it's wild to think the 2-time champ has yet to come into victory lane in such a long time for the 24.
Yeah, it's hard. It's still hard to think back to the trucks last season where he didn't get a win at all, apart from the clash to start the season off. Repeated that feat this season, but still has not found his way into victory lane. I mean, he was, what would you say, millimeters away from winning it at Daytona with that photo finish that we saw, but just hasn't found his way into victory lane, but looking strong here tonight.
Certainly is, but a driver that just saw a strong run, maybe thrown away. Chris Stevens locks up coming into pit road, caught speeding on pit entry, black flag for the 14. And Brandon Colley in the 99 also going to be caught speeding off exit of pit road. He's going to have to come back into pit lane after just leaving for a pit stop. That's going to be frustrating for himself as some of the front runners are making their pit stops. Ryan McCann into pit road. Others getting very loud over the radio thinking about pit stops in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, it's going to put them in that window of that one-stop strategy, but you saw right there with the 14 of Stevens, got to be careful getting on pit road. It's really hard to transition the car from the banking to the flat on the apron and get it slowed down, especially on old tires. And you saw the Stevens locking the brakes and sliding down and getting that speeding penalty. It's so simple to do. Is you're carrying so much speed through these corners, 130 miles an hour, and you got to slow it all the way down to 35 to get to pit road speed.
An unfortunate circumstance hits the 45. Alex Jones, broken wheel well for himself. He's forced to come into pit road. Ryan Lynch having issues as well as Philip Chavez has to come into pit road. A lot of drivers required damage flags are just flying currently for a lot of drivers.
It just could be just from getting into that outside wall numerous times, bending in that right front tire, that seeing these guys have these issues with these required damage flags.
Philip Chavez able to get into pit road, but he almost got clobbered by 3 different drivers. Ryan Lynch hitting pit road as he's lost his whole entire front clip of his machine. And our drivers up front, it was getting very chaotic for that of 4th, 5th, and 6th. A lot of lap traffic that was getting around one another.
Yeah, just trying to deal with that. I mean, you got cars on different tires trying to work their way through the field. You see Altus, they're getting by the 26 Travis Dart, and I think Brian Wilson was the other car that was able to get by him. And this is where you got to be careful. Old tires, new tires, differing pit strategies as people try to get on and off their road.
Zach Hall, another victim with required damage to the 32. That's why he's been falling down through the grid quickly, as he's now going to have to come into pit road. Other drivers, our leader hits pit road for himself, trying not to get a black flag, but Cameron Sarton does get a black flag. He's forced to come in and have a 40-second hold.
It's green flag pit stops. I mean, it's just, we saw chaos under cautions, we saw chaos with the cautions, and here we are on green flag pit stop, Sam, and everything's just gone out the window.
Will Bustler came into pit road a lap earlier. He's just leaving his box. But the one who got the pole could be the first driver to look at to go into victory lane here if this race stays green. Travis Dart locking up his tires. Looks to be hitting that 35 miles per hour limit. And now it's just Chris Stitz, Ross Tatum still out on track. When do they hit pit road?
Yeah, have to wait and see what happens when they hit pit road. And Sam, is it toe link damage in these cars, bent steering, or are we missing shifts that are maybe blowing motors that are causing these guys to get these required damage flags?
I think it's just a bad hit into the wall and just breaking one of the toe links. Zach Hall is back out on track, but it was just a little bit of extra time they had to spend in pit road. Bizarre incidences, and another driver caught with a black flag leaving pit road. It's Christopher Norris, but yellow flag strikes. We're under caution.
Holy cow. Everything just kicked off in those last 10 laps, and kind of glad we got this caution, Sam. Catch our breath and see where everybody's going to stack up here.
And it's the 39 of Doug Pierce, going to be the driver that brings out the yellow. And I hate to say it, but another innocent victim of Texas speed looks to be involved with this one. Dave McConnell going to be involved, but it all started off with Doug Pierce running into Jonathan Woods, got into the outside wall off the X of the corner, and Woods was one of those drivers that was staying out and waiting for a late incident to pop up.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens here on the replay. I know the biggest losers, we get the replay here. The biggest loser out of this is going to be 24 Cameron Sarton, but you can see Woods there just getting tight on those old tires, gets into the wall, and Pierce just nowhere to go, gets into the back of him, bounces him down, and see the 4 there of McConnell, or the 4 there, just nowhere to go for himself as he hits hard on the inside wall. That is David McConnell on the 4, and just nowhere for him to go.
And it's going to be having Dave McConnell as well as Doug Pierce require damage. Doug Pierce looks to be potentially thinking and has called it a night for the 39. McConnell, that's the second time he's had a major incident, but it's a blown engine. His night might be fully done. And with the timing of that yellow, it actually trapped everyone from 4th on back, 1 lap down. But luckily for them, we're going to have our leaders coming to pit road. And so it gives a wave around for most of the field. But trapped 2 laps down and might not be coming back from this is William Duff, Chris Stevens, Cameron Sarton, Peter Dillon, Curtis Valechka, and as well Cole Sacchetti. Now, some of those drivers were already dealing with major damage, but it's Chris Stevens and Cameron Sarton that really get hurt here.
Yeah, and that's the, what happens when you get those speeding penalties. You get caught that extra lap down, and thankfully for them, they can get the wave around, but now they're going to have to fight each other for the lucky dog position. Alex Jones also, after his required damage flag, I think it was the same as Zach Hall, so probably, I think eight or so seconds they had to sit on pit road and get that fixed for themselves, and it's going to be a pretty big fight there for that lucky dog position, Sam, and that might be where we see maybe another caution happen.
As some drivers hoping that they'll get an extra lap back, but it looks like they're going to be having to stay where they're at currently. Jonathan Woods, extra time in pit road, get those repairs done, but Ross Tatum, Tyler Thomas, going to be our front 2 drivers expecting, as Jacob Grant was given the lucky dog spot. The 19 is going to hit pit road, giving the lead position to the 21 and the 11.
I played the strategy right. I mean, stayed out longer than everybody else is going to get the track position here, get that clean air. And Tyler Thomas and Ross Tatum doing a great job with the strategy call. Jonathan Wood's going to restart in, I believe, 3rd position with Chris Stitz, McCann. And then I think the driver now that you have to watch out for is going to be that one of Will Bustler, who's going to restart around that 6th or 7th position.
But they're going to be on slightly older tires for Will Bustler, Andrew Medlin. I think for Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell, and Zach Hall, as well as Christopher Norris, they're in a spot where they can take off, but Christopher Norris is probably in the worst position possible you could ask for. He had a black flag that he was trying to serve. The timing of the yellow came out. He's going to have to pull into pit road under green flag conditions.
Oh, it's just hard. It's going to be heartbreaking there for Christopher Norris to have to come down on green flag conditions and serve that penalty. But, I mean, just on bad timing when the caution comes out. But, Sam, now that you said that, I just realized that, yeah, Tatum, Thomas, Woods, all going to have those fresher tires over that of Stitz, McCann, Bustler, and Medlin. And we've already seen what, 9-lap fresher tires does. I mean, they're going to be on 5 to that of anywhere between 5 to 7-lap fresher tires than the guys behind them.
And with having only 13 drivers on the lead lap, how is this restart going to be handled? Ryan McCann on the oldest of tires of those up front. As the field gets a majority of the field, gets the wave around, get ready to take off and get to green flag action. As we have less than 60 laps to go here tonight, they are going to extend this lap because of the fact that the majority of the field is taking a wave around. It was going to take way too long to finally get closed into this lead group. It's going to give us an extra lap. And I mean, Trevor, we're still trying to catch our breath after that chaos, but for the drivers out there on track, this has got to be a wild thought for Ross Tatum, Tyler Thomas, and also for Jonathan Woods, the fact that they're still in the fight here.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're Ross Tatum, I mean, you were probably thinking you were out of this with no chance. After that wreck you had, Tyler Thomas avoided a couple. Jonathan Woods has been running in the back half of the top 10 all night, and this puts him in a great position to have a good finish for himself. And that's just kind of what happens here. If you play your cards right, can stay out of trouble, you never know where you're going to find yourself up in. And these three finding themselves in a pretty good position here in the final, 60 laps of this race.
And an awkward position for a lot of drivers is because our top three that are going to be on this restart are going to be up front. But fourth place, Chris Stitz, is going to be mired about 10 cars, back from our top three. And then it's a long train of other drivers that just have to wait and see. As we're riding on board with Chris Stitz, you see that large pack in front of him. His next position is all the way that second car on the inside.
Yeah, it's just the way that the wave around works. With the wave around, the cars a lap down in front of him, all lined up 2 by 2. But as you see the cars with the wave around, the lucky dog, all going to be single file here on the inside line. So Stitz, McCann, Bustler, Medlin, all those guys are going to be lined up behind. I believe it's a 99 of Brandon Cawley in front of Stitz that they've got to work their way through. I mean, that's a ton of lap traffic before they get anywhere close to Jonathan Woods, Tyler Thomas, and Ross Tatum.
I mean, it's a ton of lap traffic and a ton of heavily damaged vehicles that they are going to have to drive through, as it is going to be a wild restart here. Hold your breath. Will a caution bring out another caution? It's time to find out. For the field, 56 laps still to go here at Dover. The Impact Sim Design 200 about to get underway. Ross Tatum, Tyler Thomas, we're back to green flag action.
Yeah, great start there from Tatum and Woods. Thomas didn't get the greatest of starts, but really no pressure out back from him. So he's got all the lap cars between him and Chris Stitz as the top three all single file their way out. But it's going to be behind them. You see that Joshua Alta shoot the middle there of the lap traffic, and everybody trying to sort their way out as Stitz and all those guys trying to work their way up through this traffic.
Trying to work their way through the traffic, and majority of this traffic went to the high side to give space for Chris Stitz and others, but it's clogging up quickly as this field is going to be 3 wide in front of 3rd, 4th, and 5th as they are scattering 4 wide for a quick second. They're stacked 4 wide as drivers trying to give space to one another. Somehow they make it through 1 and 2.
I don't know how they made it through that. Will Bustler, the biggest winner out of all that, he's going to pick off the 17 and the 8 as he works his way to the outside. Bustler not wasting any time, but Sam, I can't believe they made it through 1 and 2, 4 wide like they were.
Yeah, and the problem is the 27 of Peter Dillon. He's just falling back quickly. Luckily, he's gotten out of the way. Christopher Norris also has gotten into pit road to serve his black flag, but drivers are just trying to survive and stay afloat as those that decided not to take the wave around are being hounded by the fresher tires. This is what a difference of over 12 laps looks like on top of heavily damaged vehicles.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, everybody's trying to get everything they can. You can see the speed difference, tires, damage, everybody working their way through the field. Ken Campbell here trying to follow through and see what he can find. He's got his teammate Zach all right behind them as I believe they're trying to run down Medlin, who's in front of them. You see the 9 of Wilson there, and here comes Travis Stark. He's going to look to the inside and try to pick off a position here.
That's for 6th place. Zach Hall again dealing with required damage that he had to get repaired. It's rear end heavily damaged for himself as drivers were trying to get into pit road. Drivers were not able to slow down in time. And that's why we had that rattling off of drivers under green flag conditions that had required damage. It was just drivers trying to go into pit road, running over one another, and getting the damage that utterly has ruined some potential great nights for themselves. As seeing Andrew Medlin, 7th place, kind of just trying to catch up to the lead pack as our top 3 have kind of scampered away as Joshua Altus has unlapped himself the hard way. It's 4th place, Will Bustler. After getting by all the lap traffic, he's still 2 seconds back from our leader.
Yeah, 2 seconds back, and I'm really interested to see what kind of lap times he's running. I mean, he's on 5-lap older tires than that of Ross Tatum, Jonathan Woods, and Tyler Thomas, but we've seen how fast Bustler's been all night long. Looking at the lap times there, about that of 2/10 to 3/10 quicker than Ross Tatum was that last time by. So he's closing in on these guys, but Sam, they got fresher tires, and then I think they'll be able to hold off this one machine.
Hold off the one, but will they be able to hold off Brian McCann? McCann was 1/10 faster than the one machine and trying to close in this sprint. And as well with some of the drivers that were dealing with some of the heavy damage and all the lap traffic, there's still some drivers we got to be careful of that potentially could bring out some yellows if we get back into that very heavily clustered lap traffic, as we're expecting everyone here tonight to be able to make it to the end of this race. Not expecting another pit stop unless you get caught up in a wreck. Right now, Ross Tatum's trying to hold off Jonathan Woods and the rest of the field.
Yeah, Tatum trying to drive away, see what he can do with the damaged car. McCann, you can see here, as he's rolling through, trying to close in and catch up to the one of Will Bustler as we jump on board here. I believe this is Ross Tatum trying to hold off Jonathan Woods. You see Woods doing a really good job keeping close, and then we're living with Tyler Thomas also. I mean, with top three, he's saying all within about 5/10 of one another.
Jonathan Woods, you got to think of the what ifs. You got that heavy right side damage that is collected into the outside wall, and this two's doing a great job keeping up with Ross Tatum and Tyler Thomas. But all three of these drivers dealing with so much damage that it's going to be a miracle if they can pull off the one that's being a lot more patient, even with the older tires closing in on this gap.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, Will Bustler continues to click off laps that are 2/10 to 3/10 quicker. He and McCann both. But catching them's one thing, passing them's another. And with these three clustered up on top of one another, that can be really tricky for the one of Will Bustler to try to make these passes. But he is slowly gaining on these guys as these laps continue to tick away.
And as this group of three just try to hold on, how will Nick Holland also influence this race in 13? He's going to be a lap down driver, trying to get one of his laps back. But will the 13 be an influence? Is going to be the key thing to watch out for as the rest of the field just trying to survive. But Tyler Thomas, I mean, what a night he's had. Caught up in two separate wrecks, but still has the at least willpower to stay out. The timing of the yellow has put the 11 back into a fight for a chance here of a top three finish.
That puts him here. And I mean, he was running right behind Ross Tatum before green flag pit stops and all the chaos ensued. So, I mean, he has speed to keep up with the 21, and they weren't too far behind Jonathan Woods, even with Ross having the wounded car and Tyler as well being caught up in a couple of wrecks. I mean, these three were pretty close on pace, and we can see it here as they're all on top of one another. But it's going to be the cars behind them saying, even though they're on older tires, that are catching these guys at a pretty quick rate.
Damaged, newer tires may not be enough. Will Bustler is gotten by Nick Holland. So now the driver that's behind our leaders is the one who has climbed his way forward. On the restart, Will Bustler was 4 seconds back from our lead position. Now less than a second as we ride on board with Will Bustler. He's gotten the pole last week and tonight. He wants the win here at Dover.
Yeah, looking at his lap times, though, that time even with getting around the 13 of Holland was about a 10th slower. McCann's dropped off to 2 tenths slower, so maybe those tires are really starting to equal out with one another. I think if you're Will Bustler, that's not what you want as you continue to try to close in this gap on Tyler Thomas down to about that of 1 second to Ross Tatum, is he about 6/10 of a second to the back of Tyler Thomas.
But I think the big thing for Will Bustler might turn into, if there's lap traffic that starts to billow out later on in this run, how could that influence this race? Could that be the timing that the one needs? It also could be a time to just settle in, protect those tires as we see the gaps. Who's been gaining, who's been losing. And you see the drivers in green, that means they're gaining. When it's in white, that top driver is beating out the rest of the field. And I mean, looking pretty good for these drivers up front.
Yeah, looking good. And I think once we get into that lap traffic, Sam, that could really help, kind of spread this field out as it's starting to spread out a little bit between our top three or top four. Is Ross Tatum and Jonathan Woods kind of starting to pull away here a little bit from the one of Tyler Thomas as he falls back into the clutches of what's going to be the one of Will Bustler as they close in. But looking at the lap times, I mean, it's pretty much equaled out between Bustler, McCann, and our leaders. So that advantage that they had really starting, I think, come into play for Ross Tatum and Jonathan Woods over Bustler and McCann.
But a factor that we really don't talk about very often, because you don't get in this situation almost ever, is a driver that's dealing with a wounded vehicle and their pace being so much slower. He's just helping these drivers for the long run pace compared to Will Bustler that had to be aggressive to catch up.
I think it's equaling it out. Typically with the Xfinity car, when you get damage, especially right side damage, it really tightens the car up and you have to use a lot more tire than you normally would. And I think with their advantage in tires over Bustler and how hard Bustler had to push to get up here, it could have equaled it out a little bit quicker. It might come into play later in the run. It might hurt these guys like Ross Tatum and Jonathan Woods late into the run. But we'll have to wait and see. But I think in terms of overall tire wear, I think it's kind of just equaled out the damage to the old tires.
And as these battling up front, top four, closing in, still within 1.5 seconds to one another. Other close battles that are starting to ramp up is for the lucky dog spot. Alex Jones, Cameron Sarton are the two drivers battling for the lucky dog spot. The 45 is trying to get by Zach Hall, put a car in between Cameron Sarton and the 45, but Sarton is closing in very quickly on this 45 machine.
Yeah, Sarton got around the 14 there. Chris Stevens going to close in here on Alex Jones, and I think Sarton driving a little frustrated trying to close in on this and get this, putting himself in a position to have that lucky dog spot. I mean, got to be going through his head what could have been had he not sped down pit road in that 24 machine as he tries to run down this 45.
Trying to close in the gap best that he can at this current moment. As a field pretty spread out when you're up front. Battles are going on with drivers. The mentality of I need to be getting the highest position possible if we got fresh rubber. And at this current time, Ross Tatum is starting to gap out over Jonathan Woods. And Ross Tatum, I mean, he won this racetrack last season when they were in the trucks and the 21. Once again, he's got a magical horseshoe here at Dover to get it done for 2 seasons if this race stays green.
Yeah, I think that's exactly this race has to stay green for Ross Tatum. I think to pull this race off, if we get a caution, I think he might be in some trouble along with Jonathan Woods and Tyler Thomas. But right now, Sam starting to pull away. A gap about a 0.5 of a second gap and growing over the 2 of Jonathan Woods, but he's catching that lap traffic. And this could allow the 2, the 11 and the 1 to close in on him, but equally could allow him to put some more gaps between them as they also have to work through this lap traffic.
I was initially going to say, I feel like it was the last time that we saw Ross go into victory lane was at Dover, and I did the fact check on it. It is true. Last time, it was last season, last race Ross got into victory lane was at Dover, so this track has a little bit of magic for the 21. Jonathan Woods, he's kind of losing any type of hope as these tires, with them equaling out, this is incredible to see Ross Tatum pulling away from practically the whole entire field right now.
Yeah, even with all that right side damage, I mean, he's just slowly starting to pull away. It was about a 10th quicker than Jonathan Woods, and was equally as quick as Will Bustler the last time by. Is Bustler trying to do battle here with the 11 of Tyler Thomas as they're close to one another off at turn number 2. It's going to be that battle for 3rd position. And Bustler not quite clear the 11 yet, but going to clear him down here into 3 and 4.
Able to make the pass, now up to 3rd place. But the gap is now over 2 seconds. Another group of drivers to watch out for, though, could be Andrew Medlin and Chris Stitz. The gap looking to be maybe too big with 30 laps to go. But Andrew Medlin and Chris Stitz have been, on average, faster than our top 2 drivers. So they are trying their best. The 12 and 17, 5th and 6th currently, as they've gotten by the likes of Ryan McCann and Travis Dart to make themselves a little bit closer. It might be not impossible, but highly improbable to happen for both of them.
Yeah, I think the odds of them running down Ross might be a little bit high, but I mean, closing in nonetheless on Tyler Thomas, Will Bustler, and those guys. I think Travis Dart as well, Sam. I think he actually just got around McCann, so he's trying to tag along with this group and try to close in, having a great run for himself up here in that of 7th position, trying to run down, trying to keep up with Stitz and Medlin as they try to continue their march forward.
Yeah, it's been a stellar run for this 26 machine. Qualified in 14th, made the march forward, and since he's been outside the top 10, that's where he's been running for most of this evening for himself. That's less than 30 laps to go. The gap to first, Ross Tatum and Jonathan Woods, a little bit less than a half a second. It's the gap to Will Bustler that we kept on keeping our eye on. It is ballooned out now, back to almost 2 seconds. This is looking to be a Ross Tatum, Jonathan Woods. Who's going to protect their tires better? Who has the least damaged vehicle, as they're actually starting to catch back up to Joshua Altus, who passed them when this run started out.
Yeah, Altus, I mean, shot out of a cannon on that restart, went 30 wide, shot the gap, was able to unlap himself, but now really kind of starting to struggle late into this run. And this might be a hard pass for Ross Tatum to get by Altus as he tries to fight to stay on the lead lap. And keep himself from having to fight for a lucky dog position, because if he gets passed here by Tatum, it's going to be when the 24 of Sarton catches him, that would be the battle for the lucky dog. But I don't think the 94 is going to give this up easily, and this could bring Woods back into this battle.
And I think a little bit of quickness. Ross Tatum does not want to worry about lap traffic. Joshua Altus going to move high and lets the 21 pull forward. Last lap, Ross Tatum put down a 25.2 second time. That was almost 0.2 faster than the rest of the field. So Ross Tatum's got another gear that everyone else needs to be worrying about as the laps continue to tick away. 25 laps to go, make it 24 now, as as Rostam continues to pull away. But for the 4th place runner of Tyler Thomas, he is being hunted and hounded, but still searching for his first ever top 10 finish. As the top 5 doesn't look to be looking too swell, as Andrew Medlin setting up for this pass, and same as Chris Stitz.
Yeah, Medlin to the inside. Stitz trying to follow suit to just kind of see if Medlin can open the door for him. But Tyler Thomas doing a great job on the outside. Gets a little bit pinched off the corner, but does a really good job holding off the 12 and keeping that momentum up in the 11 machine heading into 1 and 2. They're still going to be side by side, but it looks like Medlin a little bit better of a middle part of the corner there. Might clear the 11, who has to get out of the throttle, and that's going to invite the 17 here of Stitz to his inside halfway down the back straightaway.
And looking at this field and the way they're falling backwards, the 11 is just counting down the laps, just praying that he can at least stay inside of the top 10, gets first ever top 10 of the season. It's been a 22nd place finish at Daytona, 19th last week at Chicagoland. But what a fun this could be after all the struggles. Tyler Thomas is hoping for this good finish here tonight at Dover.
Yeah, just trying to hold on the best he can. Travis Dart, you saw, almost got in the back of him at the closing rate. Between the 26th and the 11th. I think Thomas just dealing with maybe a little bit of tightness. You can see the little bit of right front damage that he has, and this could be kind of what we were talking about earlier, Sam, where that damage really starting to hurt those tires, as he's got the 26 of Travis Dart, the 8 of Brian McCann, and then the 15 of Ken Campbell all lining up to get to the inside of this 11 machine.
Setting up, go for the pass. Who is going to be able to keep themselves quiet and solid here through this movement? McCann now down to the inside. There was a scare deeper in the field a couple laps ago that almost brought it to yellow. Chris Stevens gets into the outside wall and it was forced to pit road. With these older tires, this was around the realm that we were starting to see some really struggling with their grip. So this field's got to be thinking, okay, let's just make it to the end of this race with 20 laps to go, and almost contact there as Dylan and Tyler Thomas did make contact. More damage to the right front for the 11.
Just trying to get by this lap traffic, and it's not like Peter Dillon or those guys are doing anything wrong. It's just how much that track narrows up off corner exit that you got to watch out for. And everybody able to get through, but a little bit more contact for the 11 and get checked up the 8 of McCann and the 15 to Campbell as they try to that battle continues here down the back straightaway.
As they're trying to set up for these passes, wherever you can find a position, you're hoping to grab just one more spot before this race is done. And Tyler Thomas has got to be the best defensive player ever right now with 18 laps to go. He's got to hold off last week's winner. And also Ken Campbell, Zach Hall, drivers that have found themselves in a victory lane in the history of the Full Send Racing Series. This 11 is putting on a show right now.
Yeah, just doing everything he can. And we saw Will Bustler do it on the older tires as well, was able to hold off the guys on fresh tires for a couple of laps with his defense. But Tyler Thomas doing a really good job still just defending this 8 and the 15, putting that car where he needs to not allow those two to get a run. As you can see, Campbell with a big dive, getting right to the rear bumper of the 8 of Brian in front of him, and has a really good run here off the corner. Just did not anywhere close enough, though, to maybe make a look to the inside.
And if anything, the 11 might be giving an opportunity for drivers behind McCann to make the pass. Brian has to make this move now. Otherwise, he's going to be a victim to Ken Campbell or Zach Hall. And a big launch off the exit of the corner. The 8 out of scare puts Ken Campbell to the outside. Zach Hall's going to back off. And they got to be careful because the lap car about to get into the mix. Cameron Sarn. How aggressive will the 24 be with this grouping that's getting bigger and bigger each lap?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for Cameron Sarton if he decides to put his nose in this, or maybe he waits and to see if these cars make contact and possibly bring out a caution for himself, and doesn't want to get involved because it would take him out of a lucky dog position. But I think the 24 has got to catch the 94 of Altus to be in that lucky dog position for Sarton. Might get aggressive here to see if he can run down that 94 in case there is a caution.
Setting up every spot, so critical for this race. 15 laps to go. And Ross Tatum has been looking strong, make it 14 now. As into the wall, Ken Campbell, Zach Hall's going to bounce into the inside, able to get by the 15 machine. And those small mistakes, with how close this group is, any little bit of a mistake that pops up, you're going to lose at least one position or more.
Yeah, with we packed on top of one another, that little bit of lost momentum really is going to hurt. As Thomas again, just trying to do everything he can to hold off McCann, and McCann just hasn't had a good enough run off the corner. He has a moment off the corner, and that's going to allow Zach Hall to his inside, and that's more breathing room for the 11 to have as the now McCann, Zach Hall battling side by side through turns number 2.
Just run your own race, run the defensive line, don't allow them to get underneath you. And Tyler Thomas, 7th place finish, is looking great with 13 laps to go. About to be 12 as Ross Tatum. His gap now a little bit under a second and a half. The 21 looking good for now. Zach Hall now bounces up to 8th place, and he'll be the next drive to attempt to get by this 11.
Yeah, we'll see if Zach Hall, last season's champ, can do anything with the 11 machine. But I mean, we've seen everybody, once they got to the rear bumper of the 11, just mistakes off corner exit, haven't been able to get by him and lost time. McCann ends up losing 2 spots as Campbell also gets by. Zach Hall in a little bit deep to 3 and 4, trying to get that run off as you saw the high arc through the middle of the corner. What a drive off he gets halfway down the front straightaway, looking to the inside of the 11 into turns number 1.
That 3 and 4 setup really was massive, and Ken Campbell, he needs to get right to the quarter panel as soon as possible, and otherwise he might get stuffed. The better run, give it to the 15. Tyler Thomas, slight block, but wasn't able to clear the position. And Tyler Thomas, he had a valiant effort, but with 10 laps to go, he's stuck to the outside lane. He has to have the better run here, and he does. He holds off Ken Campbell.
Holds off Ken Campbell. Now got to get all the way to the bottom so you can get to the inside of Jay Becker there in the 10 damaged car, and holds off Campbell again, and see if Campbell can do what his teammate did the last couple of laps and get a really good run here out of turn number 4. But Campbell going to go all the way to the bottom, not use that high arc through the center like we saw Zach Hall do, and Thomas going to have to block him here out of turn number 4.
If you're running the same lane as the driver in front of you, you're just following the tracks. You're not able to get the run that's necessary. And if anything, I think Campbell is just trying to put the pressure on, force the 11 to make the mistake. But with 9 laps to go, you've got to send and find an opening. As Tyler Thomas, just a good enough launch out of turn 2, will defend once again. As now both drivers going with a little bit of a higher apex to get the better run off the exit of the corner.
And again, just kind of an equal run. Campbell, again, not quite to the quarter panel to really stick his nose in. Thomas, though, a little bit high into 1 and 2, and this could be the opening for the 15, but the 11's going to have the momentum as he pinches the 15 off the corner. It's still going to be side by side, and McCann just nowhere to go in the 8, waiting to see who he needs to follow. He's going to jump now to the inside of the 5th, or to the inside with the 15, but Campbell not able to clear the 11 of Thomas here out of 4. As there's
no! Came down with Tyler Thomas into Campbell right in front of Sartin, and the yellow flag strikes as it was hard racing, but it backfired and more drivers piling in. Christopher Norris into his teammate. Oh no, the late yellow. With the timing of this could be putting us into a shootout at the end.
Oh, this is going to get interesting. The strategy calls that are going to be made here at the end of the race, this is not what Ross Tatum wanted to see. And just hard racing, trying to defend your position goes wrong. Ken Campbell, heavy damage. Cameron Sartin involved. Christopher Norris, and it all starts right here coming out of 4. You see the 15 get tight, just trying to get everything he can. The 11 of Thomas might have caught the wall just a little bit, brings him down the racetrack. They meet in the middle, and that's all she wrote for both drivers.
And Ken Campbell going to get the worst of it, as after that bump, it launched the 15 to the inside, where Cameron Sartin had nowhere to go. T-bones the 15, which launches him back up into the field. And Christopher Norris, you would think that you would go where the smoke isn't, but the 38 went to the smoke, and there was a car parked right in the entry point, and heavy damage for the teammates that ran into one another there.
Yeah, I think Norris may be thinking that the 15 is going to fall further back down the racetrack, but yeah, typically where the smoke stops, there's usually a car sitting there. And for Norris, just unfortunate pick of the lanes there, runs into his teammate. I'm sure that's going to be a fun team meeting after the race to talk that one through. But pit stops here, Sam, and this could decide the race right here.
Who's going to get out of pit road? Because we know Will Bustler looks to be quick. He's going to be the furthest up ahead. But who would think about taking 2 tires? Who's taking 4? And off the exit looks to be Ken Campbell, Ross Tatum, Jonathan Wood. It's going to be your top 3. But Ken Campbell staying out currently, trying to get a bonus point. But Joshua Altis, he'll fall back. He's got the lucky dog spot. But Ken Campbell, I'm curious, what is the thought for the 15 here? If he's just trying to get just a little bit of lead a lap before hitting pit road, because that vehicle is too damaged to keep on rolling. And for Ross Tatum, so much damage he's dealing with. Jonathan Woods, a lot of damage. How are they going to hold off Chris Ditz and Andrew Medlin?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this is going to be a great finish for sure, as it looks like Ken Campbell going to bring the wounded 15 machine down pit road for himself. sure a frustrating night for Ken, but for Ross, Jonathan Woods, this restart's going to be important. If I think if Ross can get a good restart and Jonathan Woods, Chris Stitz, Medlin, and all those guys get to battling with one another, that might be just enough that Ross needs to get this clear. But Sam, I'm watching out for that 5th place driver, Will Bustler. We know how aggressive he's been on these starts and how quick he is on these short runs. He might be the one to watch out for on this restart.
I mean, aggression also going to be thrown at Chris Stitz. I mean, Stitz, we know he's willing to make some big moves. Last time that Chris Stitz got in victory lane was at Charlotte last season, and he also won at Kansas last season. Ross Tatum and Jonathan Woods both sitting ducks. How well are they going to be able to defend the driver? Because I feel like wherever Ross goes, the driver behind is going to have the advantage.
Yeah, whichever lane Ross decides to take, which I'm sure will probably be the inside line, they're going to have the advantage on this restart. It's going to be the question of if Woods can get a good enough restart with that outside line to be semi-close to the 21, what's going to happen there with those guys. But, I mean, we're going to have a natural green-white checkered attempt here, Sam?
It's looking to be so. 4 laps to go. We get the 1-to-go marker for the field. I don't think we may not get the inside of regulation because we might get that 1 extra lap to allow the field to catch up with the rear of this field, which if they add an extra lap, that's going to put us into overtime.
Yeah, it looks like for Ross and Jonathan Woods, looks like they're getting lined up side by side with one another. And Ross is going to take the outside line on this restart, Sam. Interesting call from him.
Holding off Chris Stitz. He's a fear driver. And he's going to put Andrew Medlin on the outside lane. There has not been a call to extend this yellow. So we are inside of a 200 lap inside the race regulation time. Green, white, checkered. If we get a yellow flag on this first lap, we will head into overtime. But if we get the white flag, the gloves are off. This race turns into an official one, and it's all about who crosses the line first. The top 2 drivers are wounded but have fresh rubber. Can they hold off Chris Stitz, Andrew Medlin, Will Bustler? Could someone in the 3rd row even have a chance where we find Zach Hull and Travis Dart? It's time to find out. Thank you so much to everyone that's been with us. It's been a blast to watch these drivers here for the Impact Sim Design 200. Race number 3 of the season's been a blast for the Full Send Racing Series. Here we go. It's inside the regulation green-white checkered racing time as we hit the restart zone. Ross Tatum, Jonathan Woods. Here we go as they take off. It's the outside lane. Medlin is the driver up in 2nd.
Yeah, it's a great start. That's exactly what Medlin wanted to see. Woods didn't get a good start. That holds up Stitz and Bustler. Now it's going to be Medlin versus Tatum. Travis Dart trying to make a move to the outside, but Ross Tatum with a great launch out of 2. He's going to have about 3 car lengths on Medlin going into 3 and 4. That of Travis Dart able to clear the 17 of Stitz. He's going to be stuck down to 2 of Jonathan Woods as they come to the white flag.
White flag is out in the air. Here we go. They're sliding behind, but it's your next level racing white flag. They crossed the line before the yellow flag could have had a chance. Ross Tatum, damaged, wounded. He's got to hold off Andrew Medlin for 1 more corner. The 12 needed the launch of a lifetime out of 2. He's right on the quarter panel. Does he have a chance on the outside? Taking a higher entry. Here comes the run. It's going to be the 21 or the 12. And Ross Tatum holds on.
Tatum with the damaged car holds on. Travis Dart on the last lap gets up to 3rd as he gets around the 2 of Jonathan Woods. It was the 1 of Will Bustler that we saw spinning to the inside out of turn number 4 that ends the ones night coming to the white flag. But what a finish there. And Ross Tatum with the wounded car able to hold on. Jonathan Woods gets himself a 4th place finish, Sam, with a wounded car. But what a finish here tonight.
And we hyped on it all night long. Tyler Thomas, late in the race, he does get a top 10 finish for the 11 machine. Congratulations for Tyler Thomas. But it's Ross Tatum once again. Last time it was in victory lane was last season here at Dover. Well, season 5, put it in the history books. The 21 is back into victory lane. Congratulations to 21 of Ross Tatum and to Andrew Medlin, Travis Dart. We'll talk to those 3 and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Full Send Racing Series. Race number 3 is in the books. The Impact Sim Design 200 had a spectacular run. It was inside of regulation green-white checkered action where Ross Tatum, damaged, wounded, able to hold off and finds himself into victory lane. Ross, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. Congratulations on getting your win for Season 5. Man, how are you feeling after this one?
Guys, that is the luckiest I've ever been in a race, I think. I was so damaged from that first wreck. I had 37 seconds, so I guess I wasn't too damaged, but my right front was definitely knocked out. And I just had to do something different tonight to play strategy and got lucky with that caution, man. Just this is probably one of the better fill-in races I've ever won because it was just so unexpected.
I mean, Ross, you got out there to about a 1.5 second lead there in the closing laps coming to, I believe we were 6 or 7 to go. The caution comes out. I mean, what's going through your head there in that late caution, knowing that we're going to be lining up for green, white checkered with a wounded race car?
Well, I was thinking, at first I was a little surprised, but then I was thinking, just having the first place on the restart's the main thing here. So my focus immediately turned to just beating Jonathan out of the pits because basically whoever got out of the pits first was going to win that right there. So, man, it was just so lucky tonight. So many, I probably have a golden horseshoe somewhere or something. I don't know what's going on, but just a lot of fun tonight. But dang, what a race.
It was an amazing race to watch, Ross. Again, it lined up perfectly for yourself to get into victory lane. The last time that you won was last season at Dover. How do you feel like this race, getting the win as early as you did this season, is this going to help you with your momentum moving forward into the season?
I hope so. Dover's a good track for me, but I wasn't good tonight. There was about 5 or 6 people that were really, really good tonight, including Will and Cam and those guys. I mean, but it was a lot about track position, and I'm kind of worried after the first few races that track position is going to mean a lot, kind of like it did in the trucks. So I don't know if tire saving is going to be as big of a deal this year, but with the win, I can be a little bit more aggressive, maybe not do the tire saving strategy all the time, and maybe just go up there and try to compete and just try to find speed at different tracks.
Well, getting to see a Ross that's a little bit more aggressive certainly would be fun to see out there. Well, congratulations again on this win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Thanks, guys. Obviously, I got to thank Will Bustler for painting the best paint schemes in all of iRacing. BRD on trading paints, he's the man. He also had a really good race tonight, a lot of speed. I really thought he was going to win. I thought tonight was his night. I got to thank my teammates Jonathan and Chris Wade. I guess he wasn't here tonight, but him and Will, of course, and just everybody with the league. Travis does such a great job pulling in the sponsors for our league. Next Level Racing, ButtKicker, and all those guys who help sponsor the league. It's just he does a really nice job with that. Got to thank just everyone who races. A lot of fun. Definitely a few cautions at the start of the race tonight, but it was still good. And got to thank Freaky Fast, man. You guys are awesome, man. I have to tune in almost every night. You guys are on there. Just the best broadcast out there. I recommend anybody with a league or anything, contact these guys. These are the best guys out there. And just everyone watching.
Well, thank you very much, Ross. Again, congratulations on being the winner of the Impact Sim Design 200 here at Dover. And good luck next week at Michigan.
Thanks, guys.
Well, from victory lane, let's go to second place, where we thought it was going to be set in stone for a driver to watch out for. And Andrew Medlin certainly did deliver here tonight. Andrew, you come away with, in that of the second row, part of a group of drivers that we felt like was going to be attacking Ross. What happened there on that green-white checker that almost you got the win?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Sam, that caution that came out right at the end of green flag cycles, that's what happened there. We had a really good car tonight. In all honesty, really had a top 5 car to sneak away with a second place finish. I'm very happy with that. But when you're that close and you have the opportunity, wish it could have got there and got the job done. But I felt much more comfortable in the long run. So, with the green white checkered, I knew I was going to need a little luck to go my way, and possibly he had that. But you know what? That's what you need to get wins in this series. So he did a great job, ran a good race. And, for myself, again, just very happy with second place.
Andrew, I mean, what were your thoughts there on the long run, the tire wear, how the car was feeling? We saw at
Yeah.
times especially at the start there with Will Bustler when he stayed out on at the stage, was able to hold off guys. Tyler Thomas did a really good job holding you guys off there for a little bit toward the end before we got that caution. And just how hard was it to get those passes done on those guys?
It was pretty tough, Trevor. I mean, there were a couple different lines being run there by the top five, the guys I was seeing there at the end of those extended runs. I was trying to do more of a diamond type approach in the corners. For me personally, my driving style, that was working really good, but I wasn't really seeing a lot of guys around me doing that. But I was getting great drives off the corners, and that's when I was striking and making the passes. But like you said, on corner entry and in the middle, once I got under a guy, it was pretty hard there. Sometimes it was taking me a lap or two, but if you stayed patient, just with the lack of grip and just kept those rear tires under you, you could get the pass done.
And Andrew, we're heading towards a pretty good selection of races we're going to where drivers are fans of Michigan, Iowa, and Homestead. What's the confidence level for yourself heading into those races after putting down 3 incredible races so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even got to any of my favorite tracks yet, so I'm feeling pretty good. You know, 3 pretty good finishes here. Obviously, good finish tonight to start the season. So knowing that, obviously the opener at Daytona is a wild goose chase there. You know, everybody's got a chance of winning that race. So to come up with a decent finish there, solid run last week at Chicagoland, and backing that up with a second place tonight, I'm doing better than how I thought I would start the season. So if I can maintain this momentum through August, I'm actually going to be missing 3 races in a row in September. So my odds of getting into the playoffs on points is probably going to be pretty tough. So I needed a win. Tonight would have been nice to get that. But you know what? If I keep doing this and I'm there at the end, I'll figure out a way to get the 12 in victory lane here sooner or later.
Well, a fantastic run here this evening, Andrew. Congratulations on second. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, certainly want to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, Sarah, my brother, Aaron, whose birthday was last week. I was hoping I would finish this a little bit better so I can get an interview and wish him a happy birthday. He's always watching these races. So sorry, Aaron, it was a week late. My father, Bruce, who's watching every week, and enjoy talking race strategy with him. And obviously my teammates at Freaky Fast Racing, Storm Motorsports, you know who you are. Special Olympics and the Race for Inclusion. If you're looking for volunteer opportunities in the community, go check out a Special Olympics event. You'll get addicted like I did 30 something years ago. And obviously the league sponsors, Next Level Racing, ButtKicker, REG Customs, FR Graphics, Impact Sim Designs, On the Throttle Podcasts, Excessive Speed, Grim Sim Studios, and you guys at Freaky Fast Racing for putting on a heck of a broadcast each week. And last but not least, Ken Campbell, he and I do a lot of strategy talk. Got to give a shout out to him. Awesome being teammates with him, his wife, his kids, his parents, his first grade teacher, second grade teacher, everyone. I'm obviously kidding there at the end, but nonetheless, just appreciate it. It's really awesome to race in a league with a lot of fun guys, very competitive, and looking forward to being back next week at Michigan.
Can't wait for it. That's your second place finisher of Andrew Medlin. Congratulations, Andrew, and good luck next week.
Appreciate it, boys. Have a good week.
You too. As we head down to third place, a driver it's been a while since we got to talk to is Travis Dart in that of the 26 machine. Travis, congratulations. A third place finish for yourself. You showed some strength in this vehicle in the middle portion of this race. Man, how are you feeling coming away with a third place finish?
Feeling really good. I mean, third is probably like 2 spots better than I think I would have finished if we stayed green. I think I would have had a top 5, but I'll take a third, and I'm really excited. The stage went my way, pitted and got 9 stage points, which usually I'm terrible during the first stage and never get stage points, but very excited to get a top 3 here.
Travis, I gotta give you a shout out. Doing really good on the long run here tonight, especially at Dover, a track that's really tricky to save the tires, and we know you kind of struggled with that last season. So what do you think has changed between last season and this season to be that much better on the longer runs as you were here tonight?
Oh, I know. I heard you guys say on the broadcast all last season, really good on the short run, but let's see what you can do on the long run. But I don't know. I during official racing, I do a lot of B opens and just drive really just Xfinity cars only during officials. So I feel like that helps a lot going into this season. Dover, I'm like good at and bad at. Just all Just really all depends. I don't know. I usually have a heavy foot and get on the throttle too quickly, but I focused on that a lot today, and it ended up working out in my favor.
That it has. I mean, this season's been a good one so far, Travis. You find yourself with a 12th finish at Daytona, 7th last week, now a 3rd place here at Dover. I mean, this is a great way to start off your season. How are you feeling like the start of the season has helped you and maybe motivated you from last season to go make this push for the playoffs?
I feel really good as long as I could have clean races. I'm pretty sure after race 3 last season, I was close to dead last just because I got like close to dead last at Daytona just because things didn't go my way. And then the 2nd and 3rd race of the season, I got wrecked out because other people's actions. I didn't even get a chance to race to the finish because other people were wrecking and just got caught up and stuff. But a lot of things have been going my way so far this season and put me in a good spot. I'll have to do the points after this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be top 5 in points after tonight, so that's a really good start. Just have to keep the momentum going.
A fantastic start for the season. Travis, congratulations again on 3rd. And before we officially get you out of here, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yep, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys up in the booth, the whole league, my teammates, Brian Wilson, Doug Pierce, and Philip Chavez. All my families that's watching, happy birthday to my little brother, Brandon. He's turning 17 or 18 today. I'd have to double check on the age. I'm not 100% sure, but happy birthday to him, and appreciate our sponsors, especially Impact Sim Designs, who's the sponsor for tonight's race and giving out 2 paint schemes and suits and helmets tonight.
Well, Travis, it was incredible to watch the way that you made your way through the field. Congratulations on 3rd, and good luck next week at Michigan.
Appreciate it, you guys.
As that's going to be your 3rd place finisher, and we're now going to go to probably the chat's fan favorite, who is going to be our spotlight driver. We are bringing in the 11 machine from Texas Speed Racing. It's Tyler Thomas. Tyler, the chat was wooing you on to have a great finish at the end there. Man, how are you feeling coming away with 11th place, with that of a 9th place finish in this 11 machine?
Well, I want to start with my apologies to Ken Campbell in the 15 with that contact out of 4 near the end. I was trying to hold the wall, just got a little bit of tire spin. I hate that his race ended like that, but man, the support we get from the chat, it's great. It was awesome to bring the TSSR Ford Mustang into a top 10 tonight.
I mean, Tyler, you were up there on that second to last restart up there with Ross and Jonathan Woods, and then as that run progressed, you started falling back. I mean, what was going through your mind there? I mean, you put up one heck of a defensive effort over those guys up until that unfortunate contact. But I mean, what was going through your head as you tried to hold those guys off for the last 20 laps or so?
I mean, everybody in the league is just incredible. We got some great racers here. I did everything I could to extend that middle run, just hoping that strategy would fall my way. I got really lucky with that late caution in that run to place me up front. I was just trying to hold on for dear life to try to get as many points as we could tonight.
And a solid points day you certainly did get here tonight, Tyler. Now we're heading to Michigan, Iowa, Homestead. How are you going to be able to take this momentum into those next couple of races?
The big thing is just avoiding those late race wrecks and trying to get some clean finishes. The more we can do that, I think the better finishes we're going to have, and just keep shooting for those stage points and trying to squeak into the top 10, which is going to be a tough task each week.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you and your team are going to perform in these upcoming weeks. Congratulations again on 9th. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I want to thank everybody over at TSSR, all the chat we've got in the broadcast. It's great to have everybody's support. I want to thank all the league admins and everybody here with the broadcast. Y'all do an incredible job each week, and it's always a highlight of everybody go back and rewatch the broadcast and see everything y'all throw in. So really appreciate everything you guys are throwing into it. Thank y'all.
Well, thanks for giving us such a great show here tonight to watch. That's going to be the 11 machine of Tyler Thomas, once again finishing 9th in his best finish so far this season. Hope that this momentum carries on, and good luck next week, Tyler.
Hey, thank you guys.
Well, from our interviews, let's get ready to take a look at our unofficial results of tonight's race. We had a lot of wrecks in those first 60 laps. We got a good, solid green flag run. That right when pit stops were in the middle, caution flag shook things up and gave us the drama and the flare at the end. as these drivers were getting all the madness down. Came to a simple green-white checkered attempt under regulation, where the winner goes to the 21 of Ross Tatum, winning at Dover once again for himself, becoming the first driver in the Full Send Racing Series to be a two-time winner at Dover. So congratulations to Ross on that note. Andrew Medlin's going to come away with second. Third goes to Travis Dart, with Jonathan Woods in fourth. Chris Stitz fifth. Strong top five cars to look at, with last week's winner of Brian McCann in sixth. Zach Hall seventh. Eighth goes to John Dart. Tyler Thomas going to be in ninth, and Jake Grant getting a top 10 finish with a 19.
Hey, you look further down that list. I mean, Joshua Altus, we saw him go a lap down. He's going to come home 11th. A great recovery for Alex Jones as well. There in 12th, Philip Chavez. And I don't think we talked about him all night long. In 13th, Brian Wilson comes home 14th. Cameron Sarton, after dominating the start of the second half of that race. In 15th, Will Bustler, we saw spin coming off of 4, coming to the white flag. He's going to be all the way down there in 16th. So a couple of unhappy drivers there in 15th and 16th. Kim Campbell, after the contact with the 11, is going to be down in 19th. Cole Sacchetti, who we saw was quick after his couple of issues, down there in 20th. Further on down the field, I mean, Nick Holland, who's having a good run for himself in 24th. Chris Stevens down there in 26th. And then all these guys below them involved in that first lap crash or other issues. Jay Becker in 27th. Doug Pierce in 29th after he got back on track after missing the start. For himself, Rob Sherwood down there in 33rd. Cedric Hunter and Chris Melton, who wasn't unfortunately able to start here tonight, is going to be all the way down there in 35th position. But Sam, I think that race had pretty much a little bit of everything. You had cautions early, long green flag run, chaos on the green flag pit stops, and then a late race restart and drama.
Yeah, and the drama was wild to see. And we were talking about this while we were waiting for the post-race show to start. I mean, Trevor, we had a bunch of different theories on why we were seeing so much chaos right before pit, right when the green flag pit stops were going down. You had a theory on why we were seeing so many required damage flags.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was they were blowing a tire out. In an iRacing, you get a required damage flag when you have a flat tire, and so that might have been what we were seeing. We did see cars make contact with one another as they were trying to get on and off pit road. Cars making contact with the wall all night long, so who really knows what happened? But that was just one theory that I came up with. But I can tell you what, it made for an interesting part of the race when we were all seeing speeding penalties and required damage penalties throughout the pit stop cycle.
And all of the time, when you have that much chaos mounting up, you had a feeling the yellow flag's going to pop out, and it did late. Well, certainly a blast to watch these drivers racing at Dover. Again, a huge shout out to the race sponsor of Impact Sim Designs for sponsoring today's race, as well to the other sponsors for the Full Send Racing Series, ButtKicker, Next Level Racing, that of Brinson Studios, and On the Throttle Podcast, and everyone else that helps out with Full Send Racing Series. What a wild one we have in Michigan next week. Could be even crazier. 2 miles, pack racing, and honestly, drama always seems to strike at the end of who's going to get to victory lane. Cannot wait for it. But if you would like to see some more great racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, well, we got it all for you here, as tomorrow night going to be seeing that of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Heading to Darlington, going to have some throwback schemes in the Gen 4 car. And I've been hearing some rumors. It's going to be a terrifying race. Those cars are out of control, but a blast to watch. Then, once Wednesday's done, we head to Thursday night. Stars and Stripes, they head to the tricky triangle to Pocono to see who can crown themselves the track with only 3 turns. Trevor, certainly a wild week of racing we've had. Not done just yet.
Not done just yet. Definitely going to have to tune in and rewatch the highlights of tomorrow's races. I won't get to see it live, but definitely excited to see what happens Wednesday night and Thursday night. And just great racing throughout the whole week.
A huge thanks to everyone that joined with us in the chat, those that were racing, and for us up at the booth, for myself, Sam Dyer, Trevor Earhart, and Robert Moyer Jr., thank you so much for joining with us. And from everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you, as we will see you tomorrow night. It's going to be a blast to watch as the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series gets ready for Darlington, and that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast. We'll see you then.